mission.
As we speak here in the ad hoc, the head of IDEC is giving testimony on the statement she delivered in the ad hoc committee. And she has just considered that she misled the ad hoc committee.
The MK Party and EFF have accused Johnson of committing perjury and want this to be included in the committee's draft report. MK Party MP David Skosana said he will be taking the matter to law enforcement.
As Umkhonto weSizwe Party will be opening the case of perjury against Advocate Johnson and Advocate Batoyi.
Committee Chairperson Sovet Lechanyane said Johnson had failed to provide members with information related to the Section 27 warrant against members of crime intelligence. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
South Africa has dismissed a petition to the International Criminal Court alleging crimes against humanity over xenophobic violence. Government says the application by 2 Ghanaian nationals is legally flawed. The petition argues that repeated attacks on foreign nationals amount to a widespread and systemic pattern of violence. It follows months of anti-immigrant protest action, some of which turned violent in the country. But the Department of International Relations has described the application as opportunistic. DIRCO spokesperson Crispin Piri.
South Africa notes this filing fails to satisfy the statutory legal triggers and jurisdictional requirements necessary for action by the court. South Africa maintains full confidence in its domestic legal framework.
The lawyers of alleged crime boss Vusimuzikat Matlala have continued to poke holes in the testimony of the state's first witness in his attempted murder trial. Mzamo Cele is facing cross-examination by advocate Annelien van den Heever, who has focused on the statement he provided to police. Matlala and his 4 co-accused are facing 25 charges linked to 3 separate attempted murder incidents. On the first day of his trial, the state tried to hand in video which it said captured one of the shootings. The defense objected, arguing the footage had not been properly authenticated. Today, though, Cele, a security guard, has been asked by Van der Heever when he first viewed the video of a 2022 shooting outside a Centurion Golf estate where taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni was the alleged target.
According to you, you've now shown this video, you're having a discussion with these police officers, you and them analyze the video, and then after that, this statement is now typed up, correct?
Yeah, that is correct.
The family of murdered Mfuleni municipal worker Martha Rantsofu believes the truth behind her assassination is beginning to come together. The family was at the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today where one of the fraud cases she exposed returned to court. Rantsofu uncovered that Janita van Reenen allegedly defrauded the municipality of more than 400,000 rand. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi reports.
Martha's eldest brother, Difo Rantsofu, says the family believes it is getting closer to understanding why his sister was murdered earlier this year. While Van Reenen has not been charged in connection with Rantsofu's murder, investigators believe she may have information that could assist the murder investigation. Van Reenen's appearance in court today follows confirmation that another fraud investigation involving a fleet contract worth more than 16 million rand originated from a complaint Rantsofu lodged before she was killed. Difo says the family hopes the ongoing investigations will finally provide answers and bring them a measure of closure.
I know it won't be easy for them to find a hitman. As for those who are behind this, I think we are closer to the door now. We are closer to the door to be identified and being arrested.
Van Reenen's fraud case has been postponed to the 13th of August for further investigation. Nkosikhona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News in Vanderbijl Park.
And in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has warned that tough action will be taken against those involved in exam leaks. The exam irregularities have fueled student anger, resulting in demonstrations. The protesters, led by the Cockroach Janta Party movement, are calling for the Education Minister to resign. On Monday, police fired tear gas and charged demonstrators as they tried to march to Parliament. Opposition parties have also been disrupting parliamentary proceedings, demanding an apology from Modi over the police's action on Monday. Gold is trading at $4,126.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 21.91 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
Centurion accident scene N14 northbound near Jean Avenue causing more than an hour delay all the way from Lynchon. Traffic lights still not working. Edenville, Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek.
In your sports, the Commonwealth Games get underway as South Africa's netball side look ahead to their tournament opener against Malawi. Phil Foden commits his future to Manchester City, and hockey players get ministerial backing for the FIH World Cup.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, the MK party says it will open a criminal complaint against investigating Directorate Head Andrea Johnson.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's 8 minutes past 3 on Thursday, the 23rd of July. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Welcome to the show. Over the last few minutes, all eyes and ears have been on the governor of the Reserve Bank.
This case, with oil at $100 a barrel for 2026, easing slowly to $80 by 2029. That was paired with a positive scenario where oil is $78 this year, falling to $60 by 2029.
So that's the sound there of Reserve Bank Governor Lesitsha Kganyago. What you need to know is this. The Monetary Policy Committee, despite many predictions, is actually, for the moment, leaving interest rates unchanged. The repo rate still sits at 7%. Former Defence Minister and Speaker of the House, Nosiviwe Mapisa Nqakula, is in court today. Her corruption trial is finally getting underway. Khomotso Modise is watching closely, and she joins us a little later with an update on that. By the way, on that repo rate decision, we'll get Stephen Curtis in for his take. As I say, a lot of expectation that we're going to see a hike of 25 basis points. Not to be. Good news. Sports Minister Gayton McKenzie has announced that South Africa's men's and women's teams will receive funding to take part in the Hockey World Cup in Belgium next month. They'll receive a total of 3 million rand between them. This has been prompted by a lot of public discussion, contrasting on the one hand the fact that members of the women's team, and we did an interview with one of the most outspoken of them, Untatile Zulu, a couple of days ago, were having to put in 70,000 rand each just to cover basics like food, for example, and the cost of their visas. That contrasted with the 31 million rand that was spent on taking a large group of people to the 2026 Football World Cup. So this does solve an immediate problem, but what happens next year? This, like many other sports, is very much in need of some kind of solidity, some kind of certainty about their future. What happens, for example, in 2028 when our teams have to play or hope to play in the Olympics in Los Angeles? We'll talk after 4 o'clock to Pico Mbutwe, who is the CEO of the South African Hockey Association. That's at 10 minutes past 4. We'll have some music today. We're going to talk about songs that contain that most memorable of all lyrics. I call it the most memorable of lyrics because, let's be honest, when we don't know the lyrics, how often do we sing? La la la. However, it is actually intentionally and deliberately and purposefully a part of a song. Maybe it's a song that you like, or maybe it's one that's just stuck in your head that you absolutely can't get rid of. Give us a call with your favorite song that has the lyrics La La La. Yeah, I might have missed a La there. But anyway, you can fill it in for yourself, as I'm sure you have on many occasions. So let's tell you what's happening on the markets. The JSE is taking a bit of a hammering after a couple of good days this week on a day when the oil price is heading for $100 a barrel. The oil share is down by 1,585 points, a fall of around 1.45%. The resource index is hardest hit, down by 2.2%, with the gold price falling by $59.48, platinum down by $31.90. Leading the downside, ARM has lost 9%. Wonder what that's about. Sounds like it's more than just the circumstances. Implats is down by 4.7%. Dischem has lost 4.3%. A better day for Sasol, unsurprisingly, given that oil price surge, up by 6.8%. And Tungela, major supplier of coal to Sasol, has gained 3.5%. Anglo's up by 5%, and We Buy Cars has moved in a positive direction by 2.4%. The rand is trading at 16.48 against the dollar. A euro will cost you 18 rand 76, and 21 rand 99 will get you a pound. The oil price is up by $4.11, with Brent crude currently trading at $99.19 a barrel. Stephen Critt is joining us with all the market news at 4:25. Sport with Tolakele Mganga. Karabo Chale has the traffic news, and Mbali Dlamini joins us at 3:30 with the latest news headlines. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, you'll hear about it here first with your help, of course. Contact us on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
Okay, so very, very interesting thing has come up. Back in 1952, there was a terrible plane crash involving a Pan Am flight moving between Puerto Rico and the United States. I'm not exactly sure of the specific route of that plane. It was a terrible accident, but investigators afterwards concluded that things were made much, much worse by the fact that people didn't know where the life jackets were. People didn't know where the emergency exits were. All of this, you would say, is inconceivable now because, don't we all know exactly where all of those things are? And it was as a result of that accident that we now, every time we fly, have this.
The unlikely event of an evacuation. Leave all carry-ons behind and follow the lights quickly and safely to the nearest exit. A sign will indicate you have reached your exit. All exits on this airplane are clearly marked. Take a moment to locate the nearest one. Keep in mind, it may be behind you. All door exits have evacuation slides to use in the unlikely event of an emergency. In a water evacuation, the exit door slides in the front and back of the airplane.
We don't need to play all of it because I'm sure you've heard it a million times, or at least a dozen times. But of course, the fact of the matter is, even though you've heard it a dozen times, do you actually remember where those exits are, where the life jackets are, and so on? I have to admit, I've switched off on those safety announcements all the time. So what I want to know from all of you is this. Have you ever had to respond to a safety situation? Maybe in your workplace, you have drills and you kind of nod your head and pay attention. Maybe you hear a fire alarm going off in the place where you work. And do you even move, or do you kind of look around and nobody else is moving, so you don't move? Tell us your story, please. Have you ever had to respond to a safety situation? It might have happened while you were flying. And did you remember anything about anything that you'd actually been told? Rifue Letsua is with us, producing the show with Jonathan Fairbairn. Very good afternoon to you. Have you ever been in a situation like that? And if so, did it all come flooding back, or was it pure confusion?
Good afternoon, John, and the rest of the 702 family. I just want to say, one of my favorite things is to be alive, and I do my very best to be alive.
Why not?
Yeah, and just be safe. So I take safety very, very seriously. But before, I never used to. I remember there was an incident that happened. I was at the Carlton Center, I think 6 years ago, and there was a shooting. So these guys had robbed one of the stores, and they were shooting. There was panic.
Yes.
And then I had to just remember, what is it I've been taught? I had to think about all the lessons. And then I remember just hiding under one of the benches and just staying calm. And I just had to think, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, stay alive, right?
Yes.
So I do listen to those things. Safety is important because you never know when you will need those skills.
Yeah.
Yes,
No,
so
absolutely.
we take it for granted, but when that stuff happens.
I mean, the interesting thing about this crash is that everybody lived through the splashdown. In other words, the impact of the plane hitting the water didn't kill anybody. But 52 people died because the crew didn't know where the life rafts. Well, they probably knew where they were. They didn't know what to do with them. People couldn't find their life vests. And that obviously transformed flying forever. Safety panics. Have you ever been through one, Karabo Charlie?
I've been in a situation where things went wrong because we didn't listen to the instructions. So many years ago, I think it was leadership camp in grade 7. We went to camp, and as soon as we got to the camp, right, they told us, if you have any snacks in your bags or any kind chips, chocolates, please give it to us because you're not allowed to have it in your dormitory because a snake could come in or chimpanzees or monkeys. Us being kids, we gave a few and left some for ourselves to snack in the middle of the night. And then we went to go put our bags in the dormitory, and then we went out for the afternoon activities. When we came back, John, you should have seen the dorm. It was ransacked. It was like a tornado came in. Our chips were open. Chocolates were... it was like, and then they were like, we told you.
Yes.
But was it the monkeys or...
No,
I feel like this...
Trust me, there was...
Was it the monkeys?
There was monkeys everywhere in that camp.
Wasn't the teachers saying, we'll teach them a lesson? Because
Because
that story, I feel like maybe the teachers are like,
I never
let's
saw
show
that
them.
angle coming.
Yeah.
The thing is, when monkeys or baboons get into a place, what they often do is defecate to mark out territory.
Yeah.
So unless the teachers, had that up their sleeves, they would have struggled to persuade me that it was them. 702 Drive, give us your stories, please. In all seriousness, I mean, I always think to myself on a plane, I've paid sufficient attention. I've flown probably hundreds of times now in my life. I know the drill, and I'm not sure. Do I actually? Do I really? Something to think about. I mean, put your seatbelt on. I'm pretty good at that. But other stuff can happen. So you may have stories, please. Maybe you've been an air steward, by the way, and I'd love to hear from you. I mean, does it slightly annoy you if you think, well, nobody's really listening while we're going through this important stuff, or do you accept that there is a degree of familiarity which might actually turn out to be quite risky? Your thoughts on 072 702 1702. 19 minutes past 3. Let's find out what's happening out on the roads. Karabo Charlie, your latest, please.
Yes, John. At this stage, we still have that accident scene in Centurion on the N14 northbound. This is near Jean Avenue, slowing down traffic, but it's looking much better. It looks like that accident should be cleared shortly. As I understand, it has been moved off the highway. There's also slow-moving traffic. This is heading into Bedford View on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights. North Riding, Malibongwe Drive and President Forshare traffic lights still not working. Edenvale, Morafontein Road and Van Riebeck. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
I've been looking at the testimony of the head of IDAC, Ms. Johnson. I can't help but feel like the establishment of IDAC was for nothing other than political reasons. Questions that are posed to her, the lack of response, and more specifically, the issue of Fadil Adams. How it is now becoming apparent that much of the charges he laid against certain members of the intelligence were fed to him by people from IDAC.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
On Sunday, 26 July, celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city. At the finish line of the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk. Because this epic walk through the inner city all comes together with some of Jozi's favorite artists like Babawa M, Lebza de Villen, The Buthle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line for an afternoon of fun and relaxation. The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Right, gang, are we all in? Liam? Here. Ethan? Here. Andrew? Here. Luca?
Yeah.
Amelia?
Yeah.
Violet?
Yeah, Mom.
Introducing the Chungun CS75 Pro, a powerful turbocharged engine, modern safety features, and room with 7 seats for everyone.
Hey, that's not everyone. You forgot Choppy, Mom.
Oh, Choppy. The all-new CS75 Pro.
Chungun, driven to evolve.
Welcome to Nando's Taste Domonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Nadine from Belito is no scallop, but she did call the flame-grilled half chicken in Nando's unique peri-peri recipe with a single side of your choice for $1.25 dope. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, sorry. Relax, Nadine. The only thing we're busting here is your hunger. Okay? Nando's. Oh, what a place.
On Sunday, 26 July, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment will be walking with you and the rest of Joburg in the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Because amazing things happen when Joburg walks together for a cleaner and safer city. So do your part by separating recyclables, using designated bins, and never littering or dumping waste illegally. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, the official environmental partner of the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, so we know what's happening with interest rates. Well, the answer is nothing. But that, of course, is in itself a decision that gives some clue as to the way in which the Reserve Bank, the Monetary Policy Committee in particular, and of course the Governor of the Reserve Bank, Lisicha Kganyago, sees things. So, Stephen Curtis, a very good afternoon to you. Interest rates unchanged. What does that tell us? Good afternoon.
Afternoon, John. Yeah, a surprise. I mean, blow me with a feather. So many people very confident. 25 basis point hike was the overall prediction. Instead, I think a bit of a surprise, keeping rates on hold. And the real reason, clearly, is that the Monetary Policy Committee believes that it hiked early enough and it hiked high enough because it saw this coming and it wants to see the full impact, the consequences of those early hikes before it does anything further. Also, several times the governor making the point that the shock will wear off, by which he means that while oil prices will keep fuel prices and therefore inflation higher for longer, it doesn't mean that the way it filters through the economy, that the shock of it will sort of wear off in some way. But also saying that they expect inflation to be 4% until perhaps the end of next year. Now, bear in mind that the inflation target at the moment is 3%, with a target band of tolerance, 1 percentage point on either side. Kind of testing that. I think they're very concerned about economic growth, and the bank does not want to put too much pressure on the economy at this point. And then it's really the lesson of the pandemic. You hike high, you hike early, you then don't have to hike as high later, and that's what the bank is hoping will happen.
Well, it's a very interesting decision and a very clear explanation. Thank you, Stephen Curtis. Back with us, by the way, with the latest from the markets at about 4:25, and he'll be hosting the Money Show tonight between 6 and 8, 25 minutes past 3.
Drive home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
Well, a very important court case going on in the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria. It's a matter we haven't paid all that much attention to, so let's fix that up. And welcome to the show, Khomotso Modise. She's been covering the corruption trial of former Defence Minister and ex-Speaker of the National Assembly, Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula. Let's get an update then, and welcome Khomotso to the show. I believe witnesses have been going through some of the ways in which this alleged corruption took place. What have you heard? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. John. Yes, so we have our second witness on the stand today, and this is arguably the most important witness that the state has, because This is the witness that claims that she paid bribes to the former defense minister. Yesterday, we had Bantu Olumisa, General Bantu Olumisa, the deputy defense minister, but someone who was just a member of parliament when these allegations emerged. And his testimony was important, Dr. John, because at the time, he says he was approached by Nombasa Ntsondwa Ndlovu, who's the witness on the stand today, who confided in him about the fact that she had been paying these bribes to the then Defense Minister Nosivio Mapisa Ngakula. And so today, as Ntsondwa Mbasa takes the stand, the court has been hearing a lot of testimony about her contracts with the Defense Department prior to the alleged bribery. And now we're getting into the meat and into the crux of these interactions that she was having with the minister at the time. We've heard how they would use certain code words, or they decided during a meeting at a hotel, the Intercontinental Hotel near the OR Tambo International Airport, that they would use specific code words as they would speak about the bribes that would be moving from Ntsondwa Ndlovu to the minister. And those code words, Dr. John, were linked to their ancestral calling. She says that they fast learned that both of them are Sangomas, and so they could use quote-unquote Sangoma lingo to conceal the fact that they were actually speaking about money that would be paid from Ntsondwa Ndlovu to the minister. Now, of course, the allegation is that this money was paid as kickbacks, really, to secure tenders within the Defense Department. And we've been speaking about large numbers here in court. I mean, the initial payment that was made allegedly is about 300,000 rand. And that, we understand, was brokered by a secretary in the department. The second request was 400,000 rand, Dr. John. And these are large sums of money that we're hearing the court hear about how the minister would just openly ask for from this contractor, Nombasa Ntsondwa Ndlovu.
So, in terms of what are we looking at? I mean, I don't know if the trial is, as it seems to be, well underway. Are we looking at, is the witness list a long one? Are we going to see this move fairly swiftly now, or do we need to settle in for something much more protracted?
Well, in terms of the witness list, the state has been keeping their list quite close to their chest. They haven't told us much about that. And I mean, I do think that there is a sense also from the state to almost conceal or protect the proceedings quite a bit. You may know that yesterday an order was handed down by the court that there will be no live broadcasting of the proceedings. There will not be any broadcasting of the recordings from the proceedings. So we aren't allowed to take any sound of the proceedings. We're also not allowed to take any pictures or video of the witnesses. So this is all part of the state really wanting to, it seems, preserve the proceedings and not compromise the case in any way. But in terms of how we're expecting the case to go and the timelines, I mean, this particular witness, and this is why I'm saying that she's arguably the most important witness, we're expecting her on the witness stand for an entire week. That is the estimate that's been given by prosecutors. And if you compare that to the testimony of General Bantu Olumisa yesterday, which only took half a day, I do think that her testimony seems to be really more valuable for the state. We are expecting them, though, to call more witnesses. And once they've done that, then we'll only have a sense after that what the plan of the defense is and whether they have any of their own witnesses to bring as they answer the case.
Thank you so much, Khumotso Mudise, EWN reporter. Of course, there's lots and lots happening in the courts. There's the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry as well, as I look up at the various TV screens with different news channels that we have in our studio here in Sandton. That is what is very much dominating today, with IDAC head Advocate Andrea Johnson answering questions for a third day. Let's catch up with that story and all the others. It's 3:30. Bali Dlamini keeping an eye on things here and in other parts of the world as well. What you got? Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. Well, we begin with news just in. The South African Reserve Bank has left the repo rate unchanged at 7%. The announcement was made by Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago a short while ago. He says 4 members of the Monetary Policy Committee preferred a hold, while 2 favored an increase of 25 basis points. Kganyago says the prime lending rate will also remain unchanged at 10.50%. The CRL Rights Commission says it will be keeping a close eye on criminal cases opened across the country this winter initiation season. 43 initiates have died since May in provinces including in Mpumalanga and the Eastern Cape. The Commission plans to start investigating the incidents from next month. Lauren Isaacs has more.
Statistics released earlier this month show more than 100 criminal cases have been opened, resulting in at least 40 arrests this winter initiation season. The CRL Rights Commission's Edward Mafatsa says they'll take a deeper look into these arrests and criminal matters as part of the investigation.
We believe that there may be more arrests that needs to be done, but we keep close eye on those cases because in many occasions they are arrested and within 2-3 weeks they are released, and that is our worrying point as a commission.
Mpumalanga has the highest number of deaths at 18, followed by the Eastern Cape with 14. The Northwest has recorded 4 fatalities, while Limpopo has 3, and Gauteng and the Free State each confirmed 2 deaths. Mafatsa says the Commission must determine what went wrong in Mpumalanga, which was previously used as an example of good practice. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
With just more than 100 days before the municipal elections, the EFF says it will be announcing its mayoral candidate for strategic municipalities this weekend. The party is launching its election manifesto in Thohoyandou on Saturday, where it will hold its 13th birthday rally. Johannesburg is expected to be the most hotly contested metro, with the DA's Helen Ziller and Action SA's Herman Mashaba leading their party's campaigns. Meanwhile, ANC veteran Frank Chikane is emerging as the front-runner to become the ANC's mayoral candidate. Alfara Mushwana has more.
In April, EFF leader Julius Malema said the party would not reveal its mayoral candidates ahead of the elections, arguing that the EFF's campaign should not center around a single candidate.
We must ensure we are registered to vote, and it is for this reason that the EFF prioritizes engagement with communities and the development of people-centered manifesto over and above the politics of personalities and individualism through mayoral candidates.
But party spokesperson Thembi Msane says the EFF will use its birthday rally to announce its mayoral candidates.
The president will be making the announcement on Saturday on who the candidates are. The processes are internal. We will be delivering the best of the best.
With the EFF's electoral support having dropped in the 2024 general elections, the party is hoping to deliver a much stronger performance in the upcoming municipal polls. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And in France, more than 10,000 tourists have been forced to evacuate camping sites and other holiday accommodation. It comes as a wildfire continues to gain ground on the coast. Some 700 firefighters have been battling the flames on land, while several firefighting planes have been dumping water from the sky. France has been battered by 3 heat waves since May as part of extreme weather episodes linked to climate change. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 20 and 23 degrees.
Doornpoort, north of Pretoria, there's an accident scene and roadworks slowing down traffic N1 northbound onto the N4 west. This is delays approaching the Doornpoort toll plaza. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in 4 ways at Witkoppen and Monte Cassino Boulevard.
The top story in EWN, the South African Reserve Bank has left the repo rate unchanged at 7%.
I feel like this year's 702 Josie, My Josie Walk the Talk is going to be special. We're taking over Johannesburg, and I think this is the one people are going to be talking about in years to come. You should absolutely take part in this year's Walk the Talk. It feels as if it is a moment. If you have heard anything about this year's 702 Josie, My Josie Walk the Talk, you are going to have such FOMO. You are going to miss out. I'll be working on the day, but I'll also be enjoying interacting with so many 702 landers. I've often thought I'll do 5 and then I end up doing 8, or I think I'll do 8 and then I end up doing 15 kilometers. For me, it's going to be about the vibe, it's going to be about the experience, it's going to be about Josie. To enter 702 Josie, My Josie Walk the Talk, go to Prime Media Plus. Make a date with us Sunday, 26th July. See you there.
Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis presents the School of AI, the first of its kind in Africa, powered by 100 world-class AI experts delivering cutting-edge training, consulting, and real-world AI solutions. Regenesis has embedded compulsory AI modules across all their programs and 12 of their schools, from business and law to education and technology. Join the movement now. Enroll at regenesis.net. Regenesis, one institution leading the way.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
What's the first name you think of when I say office printers? Nashua, right? We've been supporting businesses with printers for over 50 years. But did you know we also offer other technology to enable your business? From world-class phone systems to PCs and laptops, business-grade internet, and secure cloud storage. All the latest tech to keep your business connected. Nashua. More than print.
You've taken your small business far. Nedbank and 702 can help you take it even further.
How important is it that a campaign like Nedbank Business Ignite recognizes not only entrepreneurs but people who solve problems?
It is important because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey. You go through a lot of challenges, and when you do have those victories, there's no one to recognize you. And this competition definitely does that, to recognize the good that the entrepreneurs have done, their achievements. And what we're doing differently this year, we actually decided to touch base with our past winners. We shot a vodcast, and people can go and actually watch those and actually catch up with our past winners to find out what they've done since winning the competition. I mean, my mind was blown in terms of what these guys have achieved.
See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. With regard to the safety on the plane, yeah, I never listened to it ever. And obviously, the only time they personally come and tell you is when you're sitting in an emergency exit, because you're not responsible for other passengers. So yeah, if my seat is booked on that, I obviously try and jump the seat, because then it's more responsibility and you sort of the team leader if something does go wrong. But yeah, lucky so far, I have been on a plane before and no crazy stuff that happened.
What skewed priorities does our Minister of Sport have? Spent 31 million on a pleasure trip for spectators, but he can't fund the teams who go and represent us in World Cup or overseas tournaments. And why does it have to take outside pressure for him to do what he needs to do? It is totally unacceptable. 31 million for a joy trip for non-players, and he has a problem with 3 million for representatives of our country. Can't believe it.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the 3 million now, the minister said no, they are actually going to come up with that money. His defense of the trip, and this is going to require a lot more scrutiny, there's more information we don't have, has stood on two legs as I understand it. One of it is that some of that money, but I don't think we have a total yet, unless we have and I've missed it. I'll do a bit of trawling when I get a chance. We don't know yet what was contributed by sponsoring partners from the corporate sector. So there's that. And then he's saying that the trip trip. They did work on the trip. They met people in the VIP suites at World Cup games. They spoke to people who may invest in our country, and they may have been lobbying around other things that he said as his goals, including, for example, bringing a Grand Prix to South Africa. All that is fine to assert, but in the end, I think we would want to see the documentation. What meetings, with who, how many of them, and the crucial thing, of course, is what came of them. Not every meeting is going to produce a result. I fully accept that, but I would equally say we can justifiably expect that there will be some material benefits that can be quantified from the 31 million rand spent. I think it's a reasonable question. We look forward to answers more detailed than the ones we've been getting so far. 19 minutes to 4.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kele, very good afternoon to you. Commonwealth Games opening ceremony tonight and all sorts of other stuff happening. Over to you.
Thanks so much, John. And the 23rd edition of the Commonwealth Games is now underway, with South Africa taking an 112-member squad to Glasgow. That's where they're competing in 10 sporting codes. The Proteas netball team will take on Malawi in their opening match on Saturday. And coach Jenny van Dijk is pleased with how their preparations have gone.
Preparations are coming along quite well. We have the training matches against Uganda. I think, we got quite a lot out of that 3 matches. Showed us a lot about the different combinations we have available and the versatility of our team. And just gave all of them the opportunity to just find each other on court again. So definitely went well. I think the players and the team is in a good spot.
Team South Africa already have their first win at the multi-sport event after Wayne Rittmuller delivered a confident 2-0 victory in his opening lone bowls match.
They're obviously quite small sections. Had Singapore first up, and I think I managed to just get off to a little bit better start. I think he was probably a little bit nervous as well to start with, so managed to just get a couple of shots in there early and just kept it going. And then once I got on my length, just kept that length going. And it's going to be a tough section. I got Shannon McElroy from New Zealand and Gary Kelly from Ireland, so it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to do my best.
Team England has suffered a double blow to their track and field hopes. That's after Olympic silver medalist Katarina Johnson-Thompson and Dina Asher-Smith both pulled out of the games due to injury. Olympic 800-meter champion Kelly Hodgkinson has also opted to skip the event. That's to prioritize the European Championships, which begin in Birmingham on the 10th of August. Switching to football, where Phil Foden believes that Enzo Maresca will make him an even better player as he looks ahead to the 2025-26 season. Foden's comments come after he signed a 4-year contract at Manchester City until 2030, as rewarded for a career that's seen him make 369 appearances and scoring 110 goals.
He's so nice, he's down to earth. He's someone that you can go to and talk about anything to him. He would help you out. And even if you want to work on things to get better, he'll do one-on-one sessions with you after training. And that's something he did with me as well when he was here. Small finishing drills with him and things like that. He really grew my game, so I'm looking forward to starting a new season with him, and we know each other really well, so that's a good thing as well.
And Sports Minister Gaten McKenzie has approved 3 million rand to ensure that Team South Africa's hockey players don't pay their own way to the FIH World Cup. The intervention comes after both the men's and the women's teams had to crowdfund in order to cover their costs for next month's tournaments. Both sides go into the tournament that will be hosted by Belgium and the Netherlands as African champions. Tola Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
At 16 minutes to 4, let's just fill you in on how it's looking on the roads. If you're in the Doornpoort area, you may already notice some of the lights in front of you are red because things are slowing up there. Karabo Charlie has the details.
Yeah, Doornpoort, this is heading into Montana. There's an accident scene and roadwork slowing down traffic on the N1 northbound onto the N4 west. That's approaching the Doornpoort toll plaza. In Devland, traffic sluggish on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Otherwise, traffic generally looking good. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Sharon Lee, Malibonga Drive, President Fushia. Traffic lights also not working in North Riding at Malibonga Drive and Witkoppen. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we've been talking about safety messages, focusing very much on what you hear when you get on a plane before you actually take off. And this is prompted by the fact that the wreckage of a plane that crashed in 1952 in the ocean between Puerto Rico and the coast of the United States has actually just been discovered. Now, that crash was of particular significance. It was afterwards that actually the kind of things that we see before a flight takes off, ladies and gentlemen, exits, life jackets, blah, 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 help people around you, leave your luggage behind you, etc., etc., take off your stilettos if we're going to slide down the slide and stuff like that. That was introduced in the aftermath of that crash because if you missed me saying it earlier, just to briefly say, when the plane hit the water, nobody was killed on impact, but many people, although 17 survived, I think more than 50 people drowned because they weren't able to get the life rafts out. People didn't know where the best exits were and so on. So the question I was asking you is, in situations, and it doesn't have to be on an aeroplane, it could be in the place where you work, it could be anywhere else where safety information is shared and you expect it to pay attention. I'm really keen and interested to know, have you ever been in a situation where you found yourself thinking, oh man, I wish I'd listened a bit more carefully because this is getting a little bit scary. My own experience, by the way, flying was flying Rome to Johannesburg via Lisbon in 2010 after that, I beg your pardon, in 1990 after the Italian World Cup. They said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be stopping in Windhoek. And we thought, okay, well, why would we be doing that? And we asked the crew, why are we going to Windhoek? And everybody was really tight-lipped and they looked very uncomfortable. I was at a window seat. It was a clear day. And as we started circling Windhoek in Namibia to land, I could see fire engines heading for the runway. So, yeah, there'd been a bomb threat leaving Lisbon, and we landed, and in the end, everything was fine. But I must admit, I thought to myself, okay, I haven't paid nearly as much attention as I should. So if you have a story about finding yourself in situations like that, please do give us a call. 072-702-1702. Tolakele, have you ever been anywhere where you've thought to yourself, okay, where did they say the exit was? Or how does that fire extinguisher work?
John, I'm a fire marshal at this place.
Yes.
I know where everything is. Yes, I may not always listen throughout the exhibitions, but when it was time for them to test our knowledge on the fire extinguisher and the position you have to put it in, I was like, oh, look at me. I actually know how to do that. So it has taken me a long time to get comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm a fire marshal. I know the exits. I know what we have to do. And more importantly, I can't wait for the day I have to tell Karabo she can't wear heels when she's running down the stairs because there's a fire in the building.
Okay. Just being clear, which Karabo?
That one as well.
Yeah. You did say she. So tell me this. Are you a bit concerned, though, that maybe an alarm will go off and we'll go, oh, is it a drill? Is it a mistake? Is it load shedding?
John, when I'm the trusted adult,
that's
when I know we have problems in this building. That's my only issue. The fact that you guys are looking to me for guidance.
No, but seriously, I mean, you're on our floor.
Yes.
So presumably you're going to come and say, hey, people, come, do this, don't do that. Put that Streetwise 2 on the table.
Oh,
you don't have time.
And they have to leave everything. Laptops, handbags, everything. So I will be the trusted adult on that day.
Okay. I trust
You
Tola
trust.
Kele. I do. Behind her protest saying that, I don't know if I can do this. I trust Tola Kele entirely, I have to say. 011-883-0702 and 072-702-1702. Please do give us a call on that. And again, I'm throwing this out because I'm really keen to hear from you. Anyone who's listening who is actually an air steward or is currently or has done that job in the past, I'd really like to know. I mean, do you sort of look around and say, listen, people, pay some attention here, this stuff is serious? Or do you accept and assume that ultimately by osmosis people have in one way or another taken in sufficient information, A, to keep themselves safe, but hopefully not put anybody else's lives at risks? Air stewards, you're out there. Call me. 072-702-1702. It's 10 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Okay, let's focus our attention now on this. Tola Kelly in her bulletin a few moments earlier said that the Commonwealth Games, although the opening ceremony is tonight, is already underway, and it's begun with South African competition in the sport of bowls. Now, the South African bowls team is a substantial one. There are men and women. I'm just tallying up. It looks like there's 6 men representing South Africa, and the women's squad looks like it's made up of 4. Already in action, we've got a win under our belt. I think it was Wayne Ritmuller who won first, but we thought it was a good opportunity to learn a bit more about the sport of bowls. And Bobby Donnelly is not only operations manager for Bowls SA, but has taken part in the Commonwealth Games himself. He took a gold in 2002 in the singles and a second gold in 2014, taking part in the men's trips. There are, as I understand it in bowls, there's singles, doubles, trips, and then there are 4s as well. Bobby Donnelly, welcome, and thanks for giving us your time.
Good afternoon, John, and the listeners. Thank you for having me on your show.
Tell us about bowls in South Africa. I mean, when I was growing up, I have 2 memories of bowls. One is that it was the sport my grandfather played, and I kind of filed it away as that's what happened, and it was elderly people playing with great politeness. And then in 1976, we had the World Championships here. What would I call it? A facility was established on a temporary basis at Zoo Lake, and not only did South Africa win 1 medal, but South Africa won every single medal on offer: the singles, the pairs, the trips, the 4s, and the team of Doug Watson, Bill Mosley, Kevin Campbell, Nando Gassi, and Kelvin Lightfoot swept the board completely. So is it a sport that obviously some people play it for leisure? There would be elderly people, but are there increasingly younger and younger people playing bowls with a view to serious competition?
Yes, John, there certainly has been a growth in younger players playing the game. There has been a lot of marketing done in the sport. We've changed the way the bowlers dress compared to what they did in the 80s and the 90s. And as you mentioned, 1976, the young players like to wear more athletic type clothing,
right,
and get away from the all whites that was a feature of the game in the previous century. So definitely they have brought ideas into the game, and the administrators have changed with them, with the youngsters. You know, when I started playing bowls, I won't tell you how many years ago.
Why not?
There weren't many younger players actually playing the game, and
right.
The bowling clubs were not really supportive of introducing younger players. It was more, as you mentioned, a gentleman's game for the elderly, and it was very much a social type atmosphere, which we still have today. We still have bowlers who are in their 90s that are playing. So the sport caters for all. Bowls is a sport for life.
Yes.
We've got youngsters playing now. We've got a former Protea player, Wayne Perry, whose son is now 9 years old, and he competed in the Gauteng Open event last week.
Okay.
Playing against all ages, from the age of 9 to 90. And Bowl South Africa have got a huge development program in place, where we do try and attract younger players into the game,
right,
through clubs, through academies. And I can give you an example. Early on this year, we had the Junior Nationals, which is the under 15s, under 18s, and under 25s, and we had over 200 participants in that event.
Yeah. So Bobby, facilities. I mean, are most clubs privately owned? Are they as part of municipal facilities? And if so, because I would have thought keeping a bowling green in good nick is no small amount of work. You've got to get it absolutely right. You've got to deal with the seasonal issues and so on. Water supply is an issue to drink, never mind to keep the greens watered. But in general, how are we for facilities in the country?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of the municipal clubs are battling due to the fact that municipalities do not offer the guidance and the necessary resources to keep the bowling greens going. So it's basically up to the club to raise money to do their own greens.
Right.
And as you mentioned, it is a big outlay every year when they do the spring treatment on the greens, normally in August and September. So that is a big outlay. There are many municipal clubs that are still operating, and my club in particular, Randburg, we've got probably 200 members there now, and we've doubled our membership within the last year.
Yeah.
So, the more members you got at the club, the easier the finances become. You're not only talking about the green fees that the players pay, the annual affiliation fees, as well as bar takings,
right,
or restaurant takings in the club. So most municipal clubs have gone that way. They're trying to operate the club as a sort of a base where people can come and socialize. There are a lot of social members now, and open up little restaurants and little eating places as well.
Thanks so much, and the best
ways
of luck.
There's always ways, yes.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bobby Donnelly, Operations Manager for Bowls SA. They got our competition at the Commonwealth Games in Scotland underway today. The opening ceremony is tonight, and of course, perhaps events that people follow more closely still to come. Swimming, athletics, our netball team are looking to get on the podium if they can. They should be very, very competitive, but they face tough competition there as well. Tolokele will update you on that, but I just thought, in fact, it was Kabazela's idea saying, hey, I don't know much about bowls in South Africa and whether the game's flourishing or not. Let's see if we can find out. If you play or you just started playing, maybe you want to drop us a note and just tell us whether you think the sport has some real future. And if you do exhibit some bias, well, we'll understand. 702 Drive.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Tell me a little bit about the reaction when this announcement came through from the Minister's office.
I don't know why I didn't believe it until the actual official media statement came out, and I was just so overwhelmed. I had goosebumps because, I spoken out and my voice was heard, and just really happy that both teams don't have to worry about any finances leading up to World Cup.
Ontatile Zulu, SA women's hockey player.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Net99 is a leading fiber network operator and internet service provider bringing prepaid fiber to South African townships. Unlock new opportunities with unlimited high-speed internet that helps you work from home. Explore the latest AI tools, learn new skills, stay connected with loved ones, and build a brighter future. Get connected from just 379 Rand per month with Mahala installation, uncapped data, and no shaping. This Sunday, 26 July, visit the Net99 team at the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk event at Ellis Park and meet one of Mzansi's favorite internet service providers. Net99, be a hero.
It's Winter Carnival at Food Lovers Market. Save big with 16-piece chicken braai packs at only 59.99 per kilo. 3 200-gram white button mushroom punnets for 50 Rand. An 18-pack of Food Lovers 2-ply toilet paper for 99.99. And 2 2-liter bottles of Food Lovers canola oil for just 120 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 2 August, only at Food Lovers Market.
As a business owner, you're always looking for ways to save money. But have you looked at saving on your business insurance premium? With Outsurance Business Insurance, you could save big, like Bosmansdam High School.
We were with our previous insurance for 10 years plus before switching to Outsurance Business Insurance.
We are saving 3,705 Rand per month.
It was so quick and easy, we should have switched sooner.
Ready to switch and save? Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate the voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
This is EWN.
Reserve Bank keeps the repo rate unchanged, and the MK Party to lay criminal complaint against Andrea Johnson. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Zamini. The South African Reserve Bank has left the repo rate unchanged at 7%. This means the prime lending rate will also remain at 10.50%. The decision was announced by Reserve Bank Governor Lesetja Kganyago following the Monetary Policy Committee meeting today. Kganyago says forecasts from the bank's quarterly projection model show that the policy rate broadly is stable through the remainder of the year.
Against this backdrop, the committee decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 7%. 4 members preferred a hold, while 2 favored an increase of 25 basis points. The committee agreed that the outlook is uncertain, and with the rate increase at our previous meeting, the policy stance is appropriate for now, with rates somewhat restrictive.
The MK Party says it will open a criminal complaint against investigating Directorate Head Andrea Johnson. This after she conceded that she misled Parliament's ad hoc committee probing allegations of police corruption. Testifying at the Madlanga Commission today, Johnson admitted to giving inconsistent testimony when she appeared before Parliament last year. The ad hoc committee noted Johnson's testimony during its own meeting today, considering the draft preliminary report. Babalondenze reports.
The ad hoc committee met today just as Andrea Johnson was giving more testimony before the Madlanga Commission, where she conceded to misleading Parliament. ANC MP Xola Nqola interrupted proceedings to bring committee members up to speed with the developments before the Commission.
As we speak here in the ad hoc, the head of IDEC is giving testimony on the statement she delivered in the ad hoc committee. And she has just considered that she misled that committee.
The MK Party and EFF have accused Johnson of committing perjury and want this to be included in the committee's draft report. MK Party MP David Skosana said he will be taking the matter to law enforcement.
As Umkhonto weSizwe Party will be opening case of perjury against Advocate Johnson and Advocate Patoi.
Committee Chairperson Sovet Lekhanyane said Johnson had failed to provide members with information related to the Section 27 warrant against members of crime intelligence. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
The Pretoria High Court has heard how a contractor in the Defence Department was offered a multi-million rand tender to compensate for another contract that had fallen through. Nombasa John Ndlovu has spent the day detailing how she was a contractor for the South African Defence Force before she met former Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. John Ndlovu, who claims that she paid several bribes to the former minister, has now turned state witness. Mapisa-Nqakula has pleaded not guilty to all 12 corruption charges against her. Khomotso Modise has more.
Nombasa Ndlovu claims she had bid for the 104 million rand Sudan SANDF logistics tender in 2016, which was initially awarded to her but was later revoked, which troubled her. Nzondwa Ndlovu says she then met a woman identified as Granny Ndlovu at the annual Armed Forces Day celebrations who offered to introduce her to the minister and gave her a phone number. She claimed that after she told Mapisa-Nqakula about what happened with the contract over the phone, the minister was shocked that her tender was placed on ice especially because she's a woman. Nzondwa Ndlovu would later be invited to the department's offices, where she claims she was offered another 79 million rand tender as a replacement. This, according to Nzondwa Ndlovu, would lead to Mapisa Ngakula making several requests for bribes from her through Dr. Sam Gulube, a former Secretary of Defense, who also happened to be an acquaintance of hers. Khomuzo Modise, Eyewitness News in the Pretoria High Court.
The defense in the attempted murder trial of alleged crime boss Vusimuzikat Matlala and 4 co-accused has intensified its attack on the credibility of the state's witness, Mzamo Cele. The defense believes Cele's version of the 2022 shooting of taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni is contradicted by forensic evidence. During cross-examination, the Johannesburg High Court, Matlala's lawyer focused on missing 9mm cartridges from the scene, despite Cele's claim that he fired 15 shots. Matlala, his wife and 3 others faced 25 charges linked to 3 attempted murder incidents. Dimakato Leshoro reports.
During his testimony in chief, Nzamo Cele told the court he hid behind a cement flower stand before firing his licensed 9mm pistol at the attackers who allegedly arrived at the Centurion Golf Estate in a BMW. However, advocate Annelien van der Heever confronted Cele with forensic findings.
Not a single 9mm spent cartridge was found on that scene.
The state did not object to the claim that no 9mm cartridges were found at the scene. Van der Heever also asked Cele to respond to a police sketch that showed there was no Ferrari at the scene.
So, if the crime scene manager would indicate that there was no Ferrari present at the crime scene, you would agree with me that would not be correct.
Those are lies. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg High Court.
And in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has warned that tough action will be taken against those involved in exam leaking. The exam irregularities have fueled student anger, resulting in demonstrations. The protesters, led by the Cockroach Janta Party movement, are calling for the education minister to resign. On Monday, police fired tear gas and charged at demonstrators as they tried to march to Parliament. Gold is trading at $4,054.20 an ounce. The rand is at 16.72 to the dollar, 22.28 to the pound, 19.01 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
Devland heading into Eldorado Park. Traffic sluggish on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Sharon Lee at Malibonga Drive and President Fushia.
In your sports, the Commonwealth Games get underway as South Africa's netball side look ahead to their tournament opener against Malawi. Phil Foden commits his future to Manchester City, and hockey players get ministerial backing for the FIH World Cup.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg drops to overnight lows of 7 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 8 and 23, and Vereeniging 3 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN. The South African Reserve Bank has left the repo rate unchanged at 7%.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive. Good to have you with us on the show. It's 8 minutes past 4. I'm sure many of you are extremely relieved at the news coming out of the Monetary Policy Committee. Repo rate is being left unchanged. Most of the commentary I heard, I must say, in the build-up to today was suggesting that there would be an increase, 25 basis points. Certainly commentary on Stephen Curtis's show, The Money Show, between 6 and 8. Much of the commentary I heard seemed to be leaning in that direction. Anyway, speaking of Stephen, he's in with his take on the decision a little bit later in the show, 25 minutes past 4. I'm sure many of you, though, were bracing yourself for the worst, because nowadays, certainly this year with all those oil and electricity and service cost increases coming our way. Preparing for the worst is kind of been a good way of preparing for what happens. So some good news today. Maybe you've got a thought on that. Maybe with a little bit of extra money you may have in your pocket, you're going to do something special. Invest maybe in growing your business in some way. Take that holiday that you didn't have a chance to take. I'm sure I'm jumping the gun because, of course, that money is not in your pocket yet. But you know what I mean. If you're feeling more positive and you've got an inkling or an itch to do something, tell us what that something is. Coming up on the show, one entity that has a lot more money in their pocket because there wasn't much in their pocket before is the South African Hockey Association. And that's because after the highly publicized comments of one of the players who was on our show a couple of days ago, Untatile Zulu, about how she and the other team members were having to put in 70,000 Rand each just in order to cover the basics for their participation in the Hockey World Cup, which gets underway in Belgium next month, men and women. This conversation and what she had to say very much in the context of the 31 million Rand that was spent by the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Culture, taking people to the World Cup in Mexico and the United States. I don't think they went to Canada. No, they wouldn't have, because Bafana didn't go to Canada. But that's the context for a conversation that I think has really got people quite animated, perhaps divided. I don't know what the lines of division would be and who's on, in what proportions, on what side of the argument. But so hockey's immediate problem is solved. But hockey's immediate problem, I would say, is a reflection of a much larger problem facing not only this sport, but probably the majority of sports in South Africa. So we're going to get the take of the South African Hockey Association when we talk in a few moments' time to the CEO of South African Hockey, Pico Mbutwe, is my guest. He'll join me at about 4:15. Later in this hour, we're going to talk a little bit about a problem of a different kind. You may have heard of an expression, the gas cliff. Now, gas, some people will say, well, that's what I use in my home, either for heating, possibly for a geyser, or maybe for a stove. But industrial gas is massively, massively important to the South African economy. And the gas cliff refers to the fact that there are substantial fears and solid predictions suggesting we could be seriously short of industrial gas by the year 2028, which I don't need to tell you is not far away. Somebody who's made a study of this is going to be my guest at 10 to 8, and I'm looking very much forward to getting the thoughts of Dr. Davies Sikai, who joins us from the Wits Business School African Energy Leadership Center. He's written a good piece, a comprehensive one that I'll send you or advise you of the link and where you can go and read it for yourself. But stay with us. He's with us at about 10 minutes to 5, 13 minutes past 4.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, Dade John. Gaton Mackenzie's thinking that part of the money came through sponsorship and that they worked during the World Cup should apply to all the sporting codes. So the people that sponsored the World Cup is because the Minister of Sports was involved, right? So they sponsored because it was the Minister of Sports, that was the Department of Sports that was involved. So we must do the same with the hockey team and go and work there by the hockey stadiums, by the boxes and sell South Africa. Why is it only to soccer?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure I agree with that explanation. I mean, there's no doubt that the profile of the Football World Cup is a massive one. It is probably the most watched event on the planet. You will expect, not in global terms, but certainly in South African terms, next year's Rugby World Cup is going to be huge as well. And when we host the Cricket World Cup, it's on home soil. So I get that there are certain natural advantages. Your point, nevertheless, does hold water in another way, that if the minister gets involved and drums up support and drums up interest and so on, there's no reason why that shouldn't produce spin-offs for other sports. We'll get the take of the South African Hockey Association shortly, but traffic first.
EWN Traffic.
At 14 minutes past 4, this EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Delays in Devland. I'm not sure what's causing them. Karabuchali is in the know. He's here right now.
Yeah, it looks like ongoing roadworks, John, heading into Eldorado Park at Devland area. There's slow-moving traffic on the Golden Highway between the N1 and the N12. I must say, at this time, traffic is generally looking good. No major delays or accident scenes have been reported. However, look out for those faulty traffic lights in Sharon Lee at Malibongo Drive and President Fushia. North Riding traffic lights not working at Malibongo Drive and Witkoppen. We also have faulty traffic lights still in Midrand at the R55 and Kenilworth. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
15 minutes on your coffee break at work goes by quickly, but 15 minutes stuck in traffic feels twice as long. Thankfully, the OUTsurance Pointsmen are here to save the day. These heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for the past 20 years. The OUTsurance Pointsmen, helping everyone get where they need to be quickly and safely. Just another way you always get something out. In proud partnership with 702. Show them some love online using #PointsmenLove. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Prof. Grobler, give us a sense of how serious the city's illegal mining problem is in terms of the threats to infrastructure and the city itself.
Everywhere where this illegal mining is taking place, the guys are mining areas which was left intentionally to support surface structure. And everything that was designed on top of it, the roads and the buildings, were designed keeping in mind that there's pillars actually supporting the excavations below us. But that is what is being mined at the moment, and we have no idea about how big this problem is. This is a slowly creeping and legacy hassle with engineering, and the structural side of infrastructure that is not going away. It's just getting worse and worse every day.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Start the year right with We Buy Cars. Selling your vehicle, they'll come to you, handle everything and pay you instantly. Simply visit webuycars.co.za and complete the form to discover what they'll offer you. Need a new ride for the new year? Browse thousands of options online or at any We Buy Cars branch nationally. We Buy Cars. Buy or sell the simple way.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nico from Kailami is in touch with his emotions. So when we asked about the Nando's Peri Peri half chicken and a single side for only $125, he said,
I'm sad. I finished it.
Ah, Nikos, ungawari. Because this chicken season has more episodes. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Big advances in health are happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a new TB vaccine called M72 that could help stop people from getting seriously ill. And programs like Cochimpilo are helping men living with HIV overcome stigma, start treatment and stay on it through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africans helping shape the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for 25 years. Partners of human potential.
Checkers brings you better freshness, better choice, and better value every day. On deals like Jacob's Kroning Instant Coffee 200 or 230 grams, any two for 299 Rand, save 101 Rand. And Finish dishwashing tablets 45, 50 or 56 per pack for 229.99, save 60 Rand. Plus get up to 40% back in U-Count rewards with your qualifying Standard Bank card. Valid until 10 August, only at Checkers.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people. On Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Josie's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg, you know?
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
19 minutes past 4, 2 bits of economic news that you need to know. On the upside, interest rates remain unchanged. That's the decision of the Monetary Policy Committee. Not so good. The oil price is now back above $100 a barrel for the first time in 2 months. This after Yemen's Houthi militia fired, shot, or attacked, shall I say, because they weren't just shots, they were missiles that were fired at 2 Saudi Arabian oil tankers. So, mixed picture, that oil price, though, alarmingly high. Stephen Curtis will update us later. It's 20 past 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
Let's focus our attention then on an issue that has really been preoccupying us over the last couple of days. First of all, the plight, no longer the plight, of the men's and women's hockey teams in South Africa. They are supposed to go and compete in the World Cup in Belgium in August. They were struggling to put the money together. The announcement made today by Sports, Arts and Culture Minister Gayton McKenzie is that the department will come up with 3 million rand to make it possible for them to go across and play without the pressure of having to count the pennies. Of course, arguably it would have been good to have got that money quite a bit earlier, because I'm sure it would have helped with training camp preparation and so on. Still, better late than never. But where does this leave South African hockey in the medium term? Let's try and understand much better the situation of that sport, a highly popular one, particularly in our schools. And welcome to the show, the CEO of the South African Hockey Association, Pigo Mbute. A very good afternoon to you, and thanks for giving us your time.
Good afternoon, John. Thanks for having us.
Did you approach the government either through Sports, Arts and Culture or any other entity in the build-up to the World Cup and ask for financial support?
Thanks, John, for the question. I think what's important is we've always constantly informed our national departments in terms of where we're going to next. I think even in the application format, they even asked for the next 3 years what is happening in terms of South Africa going across to international international tournaments and events.
Right. Okay. So informing and applying are two different things. I mean, this would have been on the calendar. It's been on the calendar, as all World Cups are, for a good long time. Again, the question perhaps more precisely from my side, Mr. Mbute. Did you actually go to Sports, Arts and Culture and say, this is where we're going, these are the dates, this is what we need, can you help?
So, John, what happens with the department is they do allocation of funding to federations on a 3-year cycle. So the first 3 years that actually ended last year finished the start of this financial year. So we were waiting for the new current allocation in terms of what will each federation be receiving, so that we can start planning our process forward. But we're still waiting for those kind of allocation letters towards federations.
Let me make sure I understand the dates. When you talk about financial year, presumably you're talking about the national government financial year. If I've understood that correctly, you would have been waiting from March. Is that correct?
From 1st of April, the new financial year.
Okay.
So we're currently in the new financial year right now, and we're still waiting for allocations on what federations will be receiving for the next 3 years, which helps us in terms of our planning moving forward in all of our sporting codes.
So if we look at the previous round of allocations, Pico, I mean, what proportion of your operating costs would you say government money covered? Because, you know, we're focusing on World Cups. I'm sure you are involved in schools hockey, and I don't know if basic education contributes on that score, but you would have your operating costs for the sport from grassroots all the way to the very highest levels. What proportion of what you need gets covered by government?
So it depends on each year. I think the first year we received 3 million rand, of which 300,000 goes towards school sport
Okay.
that covers them in terms of administration. We get a portion also for administration, and then we've got the remainder of the grant goes into development in hockey, as well as another portion for high performance. So what we've done in the past years is, like, for example, last year we used 2 million rand from the grant that we received towards the under-21s that were going to the World Cup, in terms of subsidizing them to the World Cup for Chile as well as India.
In terms then of the next cycle, okay, so we're well into it now. April, May, June already gone, so a quarter of the first year has passed. You getting 3 million rand for the World Cup. I don't know if the ministry or the minister's been in touch with you. Have they indicated whether that 3 million comes out of your every 3 years cyclical allocation, or is this a once-off grant to cover a very specific need?
I think, John, we've also asked the same question. We received a letter yesterday indicating of the 3 million rand. And we also just would ask the question that, is this part of the new allocation, or is this something separate outside of the allocation, so that we also understand what's going to happen to us in the next 3 years in terms of the cycle?
Okay, and you haven't had a response to that?
Not yet.
Okay, so if I sort of drag the 3 years out, I don't know what's between now and LA Olympics in 2028, but if we're going to compete at the Olympics to the level that our playing potential ought to allow us to do, you need more than just money to go to the Olympics. You need training camps, you need competition at the highest level, and presumably that does require spending at least some time in the Northern Hemisphere. What would you estimate, just for our top two teams, men's and women's, what kind of money do you think you need to keep the sport alive? And I'm bearing in mind, by the way, the link between an excellent performance, for example, at the World Cup and the growing of the game at grassroots, because inspiration does go a long way, even if it doesn't, buy you any sticks.
No, true, John. I think for us to compete at the highest level, we have to constantly compete at those highest levels. I mean,
Right.
We're speaking about Olympics in 2028. There's Africa qualifiers towards Olympics. There's Africa Championships, Cup of Nations that we need to participate to in order for us to get to the Olympics. We need to do training camps and play against some of the top teams in the world to see where we are so that we can prepare ourselves better for the Olympics. All of that costs money. And to give you a ballpark figure, it's in anywhere between the two teams close to 20 million rand, or even more, because of the rigorous travels that we need to do to get to European countries as well as other African countries in terms of competing and getting our teams ready.
I think while questions are being asked about government priorities in terms of sport in general, I don't think anyone should or reasonably does expect government to come up with all the money for every sport. What is the relationship like between your sport, hockey, popular as it is, and the corporate and potential sponsoring sector? Are there productive and potential relationships there, or is it a hard sell?
I think, John, we are having good conversations with certain companies. We do have a couple of sponsors in our pocket already. We are hoping to get more, but I think for us it's about finding a right partner to enable us and to grow with us so that we can grow the sport of hockey in South Africa. It's not only about at the highest level, but also develop the sport in the country. So we are knocking on doors. We are re-looking at our strategic element of commercialization of our sport so that we can get ability to get more funding in order to grow the sport.
Thank you very much to Pico Mbute, who is the CEO of the South African Hockey Association. We did put in a request to the Ministry of Sport, Arts and Culture for the Minister to join in this conversation, but also the bigger one going on around sport. They did indicate that he's currently in Scotland at the Commonwealth Games. 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, very good afternoon to you. How are the markets?
Afternoon. There's a wonderful feature. What's the weather like where Gayton is? I think we should maybe play that game one day. Good afternoon, John. So, about an hour ago, I spoke to you after the Reserve Bank's slightly surprising decision. I thought actually very surprising decision to keep rates on hold. 17 out of 20 economists told Bloomberg earlier in the week they expected a hike. What's happened since then? Brent crude's touched $100 a barrel. That's what's happened. So I think what the bank is trying to do is hoping the fact that they hiked so quickly works, and that's what they did during the pandemic. It means that you don't then have to hike as far later because the impact comes. They're basically front-loading the medicine, if you like. They do say the policy is still restrictive. In other words, it is inhibiting economic activity. Food price inflation relatively contained. They're also not factoring the risk of El Nino on food prices just yet. The JSE All Share, though, down 0.88% at the moment. Financials are down 1.28%. Industrials are down 0.69%. Resources are down 0.91%. Obviously, part of that's linked to the Reserve Bank decision, but also the rand is much weaker because people were expecting a hike, which would have made the value of the rand stronger. As a result, that's why the rand is weaker. Sasol up 10.63%, John. I think people baking in expectations of higher oil prices for longer. Tungela up 4.28%, as well, and Exara up 2.76%. Really strong day for Anglo. They're up 6%. They had a strong production update from Anglo American. It's been able to lower its expected costs for mining copper. Copper production met guidance. Platinum production was down just 3% on last year. They're in the process of that merger with Teck. They'll create the world's biggest copper producer, also in the process of selling the diamond producer De Beers. And Cashbuild reporting their revenue up by 6% compared to the fourth quarter last year. Pretty much flat for their pre-existing stores, but their 20 new stores brought 5% worth of growth to the group. We Buy Cars is up 2%. Naspers is up 2% as well. ARM down 7.76%. Implats down 5%. And some of the consumer shares down. So Dischem and Clicks both down by around 4%. Woolies down 3.26% as well on the day so far. In the US, concerns over the amount of money being spent on our AI having a little bit of an impact on shares there. As a result, the Dow Jones is down 0.97%. I'm sure that oil prices are part of that as well. Nasdaq is down 1.66%, and the S&P 500 is down 0.91%. So as I say, the Brent crude at the moment just above $100 a barrel, $100.66 a barrel. The gold price $4,056.34. And platinum 1,609. The rand to the dollar, weaker, 16.73 to the euro, 19.03 to the British pound, 22.30. Stephen Curtis, EWN Business.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Back with us at about 25 minutes past 5. It's 28 minutes to 5 o'clock now. Let's get the very latest eyewitness news from Mbali Dlamini, starting down in Parliament and that all-important impeachment committee. What's happening there?
Well, John, a very good afternoon. Chairperson of Parliament's Impeachment Committee, Makashule Ghana, will not be entertaining any submissions from parties to have National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza appear before it. The MK party has made 2 requests via the committee to compel her to produce the external legal opinion that led her to decide not to oppose President Cyril Ramaphosa's interdict application. While the Western Cape High Court is expected to deliver judgment in that matter tomorrow, Ghana says any complaints against Didiza should be directed to the National Assembly. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
The MK party is unhappy about the way in which National Assembly Speaker Thoko Didiza has responded to President Ramaphosa's attempt to interdict the work of the Section 89 committee until the court has reviewed the panel report that has triggered an impeachment inquiry. Impeachment Committee Chairperson Makashule Ghana says the committee will strictly be sticking to its mandate to investigate allegations of misconduct by Ramaphosa.
If there are any unhappiness with the conduct, the actions taken by the Speaker, let's use the National Assembly.
Ghana says concerns over the use of finances should be directed to the Joint Standing Committee on the Financial Management of Parliament.
We have to deal with matters relating to the charges that are contained in the original motion, and that's how narrow our scope is.
Political parties have until the end of tomorrow to make further nominations for an evidence leader after agreeing to expand the list of 4 shortlisted candidates. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Researchers from various institutions in Africa and Europe have launched a 46 million rand project aimed at transforming TB diagnosis using artificial intelligence. Coordinated by Stellenbosch University, the initiative aims to develop a diagnostic system combining AI technology and science to improve TB detection. Statistics show there are more than 10 million new TB cases globally every year, with an estimated 2 million of those cases undiagnosed. Carlo Peterson has more.
The research project will include a clinical study involving about 1,000 adults with suspected TB in South Africa, Namibia and the Gambia. Project coordinator Professor Stefanus Malherbe from Stellenbosch University says the goal is to make accurate TB diagnosis more accessible and reduce delays in treatment. Malherbe says the research combines AI chest X-ray screening with a finger prick blood test.
The hope is that combining these two tests will improve the accuracy and really push it over the line to make a big impact in the fight against TB.
Malherbe says results already show a 20% improvement compared to existing AI screening. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in the UK, government has announced a tax cut for struggling pubs, clubs and live music venues. This comes as the new Prime Minister, Andrew Burnham, aims to ease the cost of living crisis. Some MPs have welcomed the move, saying it was an encouraging first step. The 20% cut to business rates is the third major policy announcement since Burnham became Prime Minister on Monday. AFP is reporting that this latest cut is expected to save some 32,000 hospitality businesses in England around £1,100. A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 3 and 8 degrees and highs of between 20 and 23.
Bumper-to-bumper traffic in Northcliffe. This is a bit on Beyers Nordia between Judges and the N1. Sunninghill roadworks causing about a 20-minute delay approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen, and in Alexandra. There's already bumper-to-bumper traffic N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren.
The top story in EWN, Chairperson of Parliament's Impeachment Committee, Makashule Gana, says he will not be entertaining any submissions from parties to have National Assembly Speaker Togo Didiza appear before the committee.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
Former Deputy Prosecutions Boss Anton du Plessis says the onslaught faced by IDEC is part of the teething problems a new institution will inevitably go through. He says the recent appointment of an IDEC oversight judge is one such mechanism that will help strengthen the anti-corruption busting agency.
Barely 2 years into its establishment, and its head, Andrea Johnson, is being accused of misconduct and facing the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to answer to these allegations. While du Plessis is loath to comment on the specifics, he's still giving the IDEC the benefit of the doubt.
I still believe IDEC is a very important step in the right direction.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
As Joburg takes a big step towards a cleaner future, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment is joining you on this journey, because a cleaner city is everyone's responsibility. So whether at home or in public spaces, always use designated bins, separate recyclable materials and never litter or dump illegally. And together, everybody can build cleaner, healthier and greener communities. Act now, reduce waste and recycle. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With 1.6 billion rand unlocked for entrepreneurs through our Impact Finance Network, 58 billion rand invested through our Kumba Iron Ore business into infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. These are a few examples proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. As a sponsor of this year's South African Investment Conference, we continue to work with our partners to unlock our country's full potential. South Africa has a partner. Anglo-American. Mining potential. Building beyond.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test. You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance not indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John on 702. With regards to this hockey funding situation, I think we are taking it a bit too far. Yes, it was wrong for the minister or for the government or whoever not to fund it at all. However, we really cannot compare it to the Soccer World Cup. It's just like comparing it to rugby or cricket. It's not possible. So can we not get carried away? There's still a long way to go. And let's just be happy that at least we have a start. And we're probably going to be covered for the rest of South Africa's lifetime.
Hi, John. No, I agree with the previous caller. The sports minister must go and attend the hockey. Why must he only go to soccer? He is the sports minister. He represents sports codes, all of them, not just the major ones. He should actually be watching the bowling as well right now.
So, I want to respond to both of those. We are not comparing the Football World Cup to the Hockey World Cup, and nor are we comparing both of those sports. When I say we, I don't just mean us on 702 Drive. I mean people who are engaged in this conversation. We are comparing investment in athletes and their competition at the highest level with investment in people who are not competing at all. Now, there is an argument, and I would really hope that at some point we will get an interview with the minister. We are comparing investing in people who are doing things on the periphery of a major event with people who are taking part as athletes and preparing, by the way, to take part in that major event. So please don't compare them, because you're making a comparison which is based on a misunderstanding of what the conversation is about. The second thing I want to say is the minister must go to all these sports. I don't think that's the minister's job, not the Minister of Sport, nor all the other ministers who somehow managed to turn up, and we'll see plenty of them, I'm sure, at the Rugby World Cup. Why exactly are they there? Now, there may be a very good reason why they're there, but if I'm going to be persuaded that they're there and that acts as an inspiration for our players, well, I could use a lot more persuasion than just that. The main job of all these ministers is, by and large, to do things that advance the cause of the ministry that they're responsible for delivering services and development from. So if, the Minister of Sport at the Hockey World Cup then means that hockey becomes a stronger sport, more kids get to play the sport, more AstroTurfs get built in areas where kids have no facilities, I'm all for it. But I would like a much clearer indication of how those two things are linked. I don't think they are. Their role is to be there as any kind of high-level cheerleaders, because I don't think that's money well spent. Those are my views. Give me yours. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 17 minutes to 5.
EWN Sport.
Women's African Cup of Nations gets underway over the weekend. Banyana are in action early on. Tola Kele with the details.
Thanks so much, John. And South Africa looking ahead to their opening game of WAFCON against Tanzania on Monday. Desiree Ellis has Tembi Kgatlana back in the fold after she missed the last tournament due to personal reasons, while Zoe October is the youngest member of her 26-player squad at just 18 years old. The coaches discussed the importance of variety when it came to her team selection.
The way we managed 2022 was we got a good win against Nigeria in the first game. Then we started rotating the squad, making sure that you keep players fresh, because 2-3 games in a row with the same lineup is taxing, when you're playing in weather that you're not used to. We're going from winter to extreme summer. So we had to make sure that we got that mix right with a lot of versatility, so that if we're able to change, we have players that can play in those positions. We have players that can change.
Mali, Niger and Burkina Faso will submit a joint bid to host the 2032 Africa Cup of Nations. Burkina Faso hosted AFCON back in 1998, Mali in 2002, but Niger have never hosted the biennial tournament. Mali and Burkina Faso do have CAF approval for their stadiums, while Niger is upgrading its General Seyi Konto Stadium, which has been barred from hosting international matches since 2022. Switching to Europe, where Jurgen Klopp is widely expected to take over as Germany's national team head coach. That's after their football association called a press conference for Friday. Klopp has been in talks to lead the Mannschaft after Julian Nagelsmann vacated the role. That follows their round of 32 exit at the FIFA World Cup. For France, they'll hold a news conference on the 28th of July to unveil the next coach of the national team, with Zinedine Zidane the overwhelming favourite to succeed Didier Deschamps. Zidane has not held a coaching role since his second spell at Real Madrid ended 5 years ago. And switching to the Currie Cup, where the second round action will kick off tomorrow. That's with the clash between the Cheetahs and the Sharks. It's a major milestone for veteran fullback Clayton Blomakies, who'll make his 150th appearance for the Free State side.
Free State is home. The Cheetahs is home. This is where everything started. Turks and the Bulls were there. But I think everything started here for me with back then was Coach Nakes, Coach Os, and all those guys, and then Coach Franco. Now I'm working with Coach Fran Halle. So for me, it's just I love the brand of rugby that's been played here. I'm so used to the rugby that's played here, running rugby, and I think that is what I grew up with.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
4:45 on 702 Drive. This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie has the latest. Northcliffe is a problem.
Yeah, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is in the Northcliffe area on Beyers Nordia between Judges and the N1. Sunning Hill roadwork still causing some delays approaching the intersection of Rivonia Road and Witkoppen, while in Alex expect some delays on heading towards Germiston. This is on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. Benoni traffic remains sluggish on Atlas Road approaching the N12, while in Bursley, Kempton Park, slow-moving traffic on Morafontein Road between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein Road. For the latest traffic updates, you can also follow us on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Clever excuses for being late, number 92. I had to rescue my cousin's neighbor's cat from a tree. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in the FSP.
John Perlman
On 702.
3 to 6 p.m.
702 Drive. Let's talk about what your colleagues wear to work, whether it's any of your business, whether you get bothered, and whether anyone gives you a hard time about the way you dress. This is a story that caught our eye. In Tokyo, in Japan, the metropolitan government is pushing company employees to ditch their suit and tie for more casual attire, and they are suggesting they wear t-shirts, trainers, and shorts. This is getting mixed reviews because it's the men who are wearing shorts. Women who wear skirts apparently are still expected to wear stockings. And there's an issue that seems to arise, or seems to have arisen, should I rather say, according to the BBC at least, that says there is a debate going online about what is called leg hair harassment, that women, some of them, or maybe some men, are very uncomfortable at some of the men showing off their extensive leg hair. So, leg hair harassment is something that appears to be an issue. And indeed, according to the story, someone who runs a grooming, appropriately named, a grooming facility called the Gorilla Clinic, says more and more men are coming to the clinic not just for cosmetic reasons, but are coming to have their leg hair removed. So let's park all of that. We're not going to have a leg hair debate here. But I am interested to know, Tolakele, do you ever feel that somebody that you work with or have worked with in the past is dressed in a way where you kind of feel like saying, you know what, maybe not?
I'm very liberal when it comes to those things. Whatever makes people comfortable.
Yes.
Dress how you want to dress. My only rule is don't wear Crocs. That's just where I draw the
Oh.
line. Crocs are a in your house shoe. They are not to be seen by other people.
Really?
Yes. Yes. That's
Okay.
my only request.
Those of you, by the way, watching us on our YouTube feed will see what Karabo Charlie thinks of that particular point. Obviously, you don't believe no
I
Crocs.
totally disagree. I think you can wear whatever you want, even if you can even come with your pajamas. I don't care.
No. Well, I haven't seen your pajamas, but I'm
just kidding.
working on the assumption
But
that
I believe it's
I probably don't want to see that.
It's none of my business. We're here to work and not to judge what other people are wearing. If the company has a problem, then you can follow the company policy. But otherwise, feel free to wear your Crocs. Don't come with your pajamas.
Okay, no, so Crocs rocks, but yeah, no pajamas. Okay, so tell me, have you ever been in a situation in the place where you work where maybe you or somebody else have said, you know what, I'm not comfortable with the way a colleague is dressing. Maybe that colleague was you. If you have a story to tell about that particular way in which we interact around this all-important issue, please do drop us a note on 072 702 1702. It's coming up for 10 to 5.
Drive Home with John Perlman
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
We've talked about all sorts of energy problems in this country. One of them, of course, has been the many, many conversations we had during load shedding, and invariably electricity is still a point of discussion and debate. But there's another energy thing that I'm sure, actually need to learn more about. And I was prompted to look at this by a very interesting piece on the website, The Conversation. It's written by Dr. Davies Tsikai. He's a lecturer at the Wits Business School African Energy Leadership Center and is also an associate partner at Africa International Advisors. And his topic of interest and the focus of the piece he's written for The Conversation is called this: Gas Cliff. Sharp drop in supply in 2028 threatens the SA economy. I must admit, when I saw the headline, I thought, oh, gas. I have a gas stove and use gas for various other things in my domestic life. But the much bigger problem facing us is the way in which gas is used in so many South African industries. And the use of gas is really quite massive. So let's get into the issues. Let's get a sense of the scale and timeline of the problem, and welcome Dr. Tsikai to the show. Doctor, thanks so much for joining us and for giving us your time. What does the gas cliff refer to? Is this literally a drying up of supply, or is it a point where it becomes so constrained that we have to rethink the way certain industries go about their work? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to the listeners. Yes, it's a cut-off of supply. So what SASO did was that they announced to the market that come 2028, they will need to cut supply to the market. So what that does, it means that your industries, your residential areas that sort of rely on this gas supply from SASO will no longer be receiving it. So that's got huge implications for South Africa. So that's just the issue at hand, and that's why we call it a gas cliff, because by 2028 we won't have any supply for our industrial and domestic needs.
Let's talk then about who uses gas and for what. Domestic supply is a crucial element. I think people can picture what that use looks like. But in industry, what are the implications?
So we've got a huge industry. So there's about 70,000 to 100,000 people that rely on gas supply. That gas is directly responsible for those jobs. So what then those industries are using gas for? They're using gas for their industrial burning and burning for their burners, for their heating requirements, for their different processes that require heat as a source of energy. So as a result of that, you can see there's massive implications to the economy. So if you talk about the 100,000 people directly employed, there's about another 500,000 direct and indirect jobs.
Goodness.
And the economy there's about 5% of our GDP that can be affected by this cutting of gas supply.
Tell us, if we're not going to get the gas from Sasol, where are we going to get it from?
So there's already sort of discussions that are happening, and there's movements that we can already see. So there's the Richards Bay terminal, where that's the Zululand terminal, where just a couple of weeks ago, ExxonMobil and Eskom, they signed heads of agreement with the Z terminal operators. So there is movement around that. But that terminal, there are other implications where to get that gas where it's required. So gas is required here in your industrial zones, that's your Gauteng, Mpumalanga. So to transport that gas from that terminal is going to be quite difficult. That's why there needs to be another location from Mozambique. So there's also talks around Matola and how to unlock Matola gas so that it can move through the Romco pipeline and service the industrial hub of South Africa, which is Gauteng.
I'm just looking online, and you know, some of these numbers may be dated. The largest natural gas producers in the world, the United States, is a long way out in front. But then when I look at the next five, at least three of them at the moment are to some degree compromised. Now, I'm not suggesting wars last forever, but Russia is second, Iran is third, China comes in fourth, but quite a distant fourth compared, for example, to Russia. Canada, again, a small producer compared to the US, and then Qatar. I mean, I'm not suggesting that there'll be conflicts in those areas, the ones that are currently in situations of war indefinitely. But I would have thought when countries are facing those situations, they're not necessarily at their best in terms of trying to do deals for future supply.
Yeah, so the market currently is quite volatile because of the war that we are seeing. But hopefully by 2028, when South Africa needs to get this done, we can have a solution in play. But like I said, the big players, we've got ExxonMobil that is around the Richards Bay terminal. We've got other big players like Total Energies that can potentially come through the Matola. So if those players, those big companies, they can guarantee cargoes to come to South Africa, then it can sort of help our situation right now. But what the article sort of calls for urgency to address this gas cliff, because it is something that is coming, and we're 2 years away from it.
So if we look at gas that we ship in, and you know, people from the list that I've just read of the major suppliers, there are others as well that perhaps are not as far away, but this stuff has to travel a long distance. If we go back, Dr. Tsekai, to what you were saying about the industrial usage, that presumably must have significant cost implications and fed into the overall inflation picture. That could be problematic as well, I would think.
Yes, it will come at a higher cost. So LNG will come at a higher cost compared to the supply that we're currently having right now. And it's more to do with how the industrial players sort of planning for that, because it will come at a higher cost. And also, it's important to just monitor what's happening right now from just the NESA deliberations with SASO, because SASO is looking to sort of provide a bridging supply through the methane-rich gas that they're currently producing. But again, that will come at a higher cost. So whatever options that are there to the industrial market, there is going to be a financial hit that they will potentially face, and that will be passed down to the consumers, and overall that will lead to a higher cost of living.
Thank you so much, Dr. Davies Tsekai. Lots to think about and also to keep an eye on and track. I know Stephen has done quite a bit on this particular issue on The Money Show, and always listen up between 6 and 8 for updates on this and other stories. Dr. Tsekai is a lecturer in the Wits Business School African Energy Leadership Center. We thank him for his time.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
I've been looking at the testimony of the head of IDAC, Ms. Johnson. I can't help but feel like the establishment of IDAC was for nothing other than political reasons. Questions that are posed to her, the lack of response, and more specifically, the issue of Fadil Adams. How it is now becoming apparent that much of the charges he laid against certain members of the intelligence were fed to him by people from IDEC.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
When the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk happens this Sunday, we want to make your day as seamless as possible with the park and shuttle service. The color of your wristband contained in your walk number pack corresponds with your designated collection point and grants you access onto the shuttle. Monte Casino is red, Greenstone Shopping Centre is green, Clearwater Mall is blue and Gold Reef City Casino is white. Please ensure that you are at your designated pickup point at least 30 minutes before your intended departure time. Shuttle buses will depart from all park and shuttle pickup points every 30 minutes, starting at 5:30 a.m. See you at the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk by Bize Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
What's for dinner tonight, South Africa? Hiya, Jamie Oliver here. Dinner stress? Forget it. I've teamed up with Checkers to bring you some of my favourite recipes the whole family will love. Easy peasy and delicious. Shop the ingredients on Checkers 6060 and boom, delivered in 60 minutes. Every week, 5 brand new dinner ideas. Checkers, dinner done better.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Testimonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Dolly from Boertersig is vegetarian-ish, with a reputation to uphold. Here's what she whispered about the half chicken and a single side for $1.25.
What? I don't eat chicken, but for Nando's, I make the exception.
Well, good thing there's a salad on the side, for appearances. Of course. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
This is EWN.
Reserve Bank warns inflation risks remain high, and a state witness in the Kat Matala attempted murder trial accused of blatantly lying. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. While the South African Reserve Bank has left interest rates unchanged today, Governor Lesetja Kganyago says inflation risks remain tilted to the upside. The central bank warns that higher fuel prices, rising inflation expectations and persistent price pressures could keep inflation above target for longer. The views were shared during the announcement of the repo rate, which remained unchanged at 7% today. Kganyago says the recent spike in fuel prices has pushed headline inflation above the bank's preferred 3% target, and while food inflation has eased, underlying price pressures are becoming more widespread.
According to the latest survey from the Bureau for Economic Research, inflation expectations have risen. The changes are bigger for the near term than the longer term. We see upside risks to inflation.
Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, says she relied on incorrect information from her team when she authorized the prosecution of a senior crime intelligence officer. In June last year, IDEC arrested Dineo Mokwele, who was the head of technical support services at Crime Intelligence. IDEC accused Mokwele of not having the suitable qualifications for the job, saying her appointment was gratification in exchange for crimes she may commit in future. Tabiso Koba reports.
As the head of IDEC, Andrea Johnson signed off on the prosecution memo, which was used to arrest and charge the head of Technical Support Services Unit at Crime Intelligence, Dineo Mokwele. In the memo, Johnson accuses Mokwele of fraud and corruption as she was hired to a job she was not qualified for. However, Co-Commissioner Sandile Khumalo pressed Johnson on this.
Do you know what her qualifications are?
Not all her qualifications, no.
So why do you make a statement under oath to say she's not suitable for this position if you don't know what her qualifications are?
Johnson was further shown the requirements for the job and Mokwele's qualifications.
What fraud has Ms. Mokwele committed that justifies you recommending to the DPP that she must be charged with fraud and state capture and all of those things?
I relied on the briefing from my team, and it's going to go back to what counsel had asked me, that I trusted them implicitly. I now see that the facts as I may have received them then, and I'd have to go back and look at it, were incorrect.
Khumalo says Johnson and her team at IDAC have misled the courts. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The DA has written to Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero calling for the immediate dismissal of the JMPD officer arrested in connection with the theft of precious stones. The officer, known only as Witness K, admitted to her involvement in the 2023 theft of precious stones with nearly 15 million rand from an apartment in Killarney. She and suspended EMPD top cop Julius Mkhwanazi were arrested last week and were both released on 5,000 rand bail 2 days ago. Alfa Ramushwana has more.
While Witness K has been released from police custody, the Johannesburg Metro Police Department has yet to institute disciplinary proceedings against her. At the Madlanga Commission, she admitted that she informed EMPD Chief Julius Mkhwanazi about the precious stones, after which they allegedly plotted to steal them. Commissioners also questioned why she chose to inform an EMPD officer rather than to report the matter to her superiors within the JMPD. The DA's Solomon Maila says Witness K must be held accountable.
The DA in the city of Johannesburg has written to Mayor Dada Morero to demand that disciplinary action be taken against Witness K, a member of the Johannesburg Metropolitan Police Department who was implicated at the Madlanga Commission for her alleged involvement in the theft of precious gemstones.
Meanwhile, Mkhwanazi remains on suspension pending the outcome of his internal disciplinary hearing. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Let's take you to the courts now. The state witness in the trial of alleged crime boss Vusamuzikat Matlala and 4 others has been accused of blatantly lying to the court during testimony. Matlala's lawyer, Annelien van den Heever, has poked holes in Mzamo Cele's version of events during the 2022 attempted murder of taxi boss Joe Sibanyoni, labelling his version as false. She says Mzamo has lied about firing 15 shots in self-defense during the shooting. The 5 are facing 25 charges for 3 separate attempted murder incidents. Van der Heever outlined her stance as the matter was being heard before the Johannesburg High Court today.
So I'm going to later on submit to the Honourable Court that you are unnecessarily casting dispersions on the person that took down this statement because it doesn't fit your version right now. In other words, you're changing your evidence. You are blatantly lying to this Honourable Court.
And in Venezuela, the World Bank is estimating that the devastating twin earthquakes which battered the country last month caused at least $19.6 billion in damage. More than 5,300 people were killed and 17,740 people were injured. According to the World Bank, direct damage to residential buildings came in at almost half of the assessed total at $9.3 billion. It adds that the pace of reconstruction will be a decisive factor in shaping the country's economic recovery as well as social outcomes. Gold is trading at $4,054.20 an ounce. The rand is at 16.72 to the dollar, 22.28 to the pound, 19.01 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
In Illiondale, Kempton Park, you can expect more than a 30-minute delay on Modderfontein Road between Greenstone Mall and Parkland Drive due to faulty traffic lights, leaving the Pretoria CBD. Traffic heavily backed up in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pachlele from Van Buren to the R18.
In your sport, Banyana's World Cup dreams on the line as they gear up for WAFCON. Norway to lodge FIFA ethics complaint over Donald Trump role in World Cup red card saga. And the Cheetahs looking to make it back-to-back wins in the Currie Cup.
A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Johannesburg dropping to overnight lows of 7 degrees, peaking at 20. Pretoria 8 and 23, and Vereniging 3 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN. While the South African Reserve Bank has left interest rates unchanged, Governor Lesetja Kganyago says inflation risks remain tilted to the upside.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, it's 8 minutes past 5. It's good to have you with us. The good news today is the fact that the repo rate has been left unchanged. We're going to look at the whys of that and also the implications of the decision. Does it mean we're going to take some pain later? Is a rate hike at some point inevitable? We'll talk to Gulam Balem, Chief Economist and Head of Research at the Standard Bank Group. That interview coming up in a few minutes' time. Staying with business, Stephen Curtis will update you on what's happening on the markets. We'll update you on all the traffic news. Problems out in Kempton Park, I believe. We'll give you the details of those shortly. I'll also tell you a little bit about this. The Global Passports Ranking has just come out. We are on the 45th tier, which doesn't mean we're 45th. There are some, for example, two countries in second place, France and Spain. The most mobile, the best passport to have is from the United Arab Emirates. So there are plenty of countries above us. I'll tell you a little bit about how we were ranked and why later in the show. We've been asking you about dress codes at work. A couple of you are responding to that. We'll hear about that. Anyone in your workplace who you felt, no, this has gone too far, I am not working with someone dressed like that, or maybe you are that person and people have said to you, sorry, no shorts or whatever it is. Prompted to do this by a story coming out of Japan where men are being encouraged in the extreme heat that country's facing to come to work in shorts, but it's not without its backlash. We'll have music for you at the end of the show as well. But first, let's hear some of your thoughts.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
There is money allocated to Hockey South Africa. What happens to that money? Because this is not the first time that the men and the women's teams are in dire need and set up GoFundMe pages and fund themselves to get to events. The men's team qualified for the FIH Pro League and they had to withdraw because Hockey South Africa did not have money to fund them to go there.
Hi, Uncle John and the team. So at my workplace, we do not have a dress code or policy. But there was this one guy this other time. He used to come to work wearing shorts. And sometimes those shorts, they would draw around his crotch area. And people did raise concerns about this. But his counter was the fact that there are people that wear really mini skirts at work. So what about them? Yeah, it raised quite a debate, but we still don't have a resolution. He continued wearing his shorts, and yeah.
Okay, so please do keep them coming. I mean, what happened to the money allocated to Hockey South Africa? My understanding, certainly in terms of government funding, if I understood correctly, the interview that we had a little bit earlier, which was with the CEO of Hockey South Africa, Pico Mbute, and he was saying that they got 3 million rand over a 3-year cycle from government, and that money, some of it was allocated to hockey development, some of it was allocated to the schools program. I think that allocation was 300,000, which you'd have to say wouldn't go particularly far. I do not know what the quantum is of their commercial sponsorships, but clearly they're struggling. 702 Drive, 12 minutes past 5. Now, let's talk about what we are going to do with the music. Lyrics in songs are very, very popular, and then certain lyrics are just very, very common, like this one. Kylie Minogue with Get You Out of My Head. There is no more common lyric in songs than la, 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 because we all use it as a filler for all those songs we like but don't know all the words to. But then there are songs that actually intentionally have those la-las included as part of the song. Do you have a favorite or just one that's stuck in your head even if you don't particularly like it, or maybe you are just versatile and knowledgeable about music in general? Share with us, please, songs in which the la-la and many more la's besides are prominent in the song's lyrics. 072 702 1702, 13 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. We have some delays, I believe, out in Kempton Park. Rabochali is the man who will explain all of that.
Yeah, that's in the Illiondale area. There's about a 30-minute delay on Modderfontein Road between Greenstone Mall and Parkland Drive due to faulty traffic lights. Benoni traffic remains sluggish on Atlas Road approaching the N12. Bursley, Kempton Park, there's also slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein Road, while in Northcliffe, bumper-to-bumper traffic on Bayers Nordia between Judges and the N1. In Alexandra, traveling towards Germiston, Bedfordview, there's about a 20-minute delay on the N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and Van Buren, and leaving the Pretoria CBD. Traffic heavily backed up. This is in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
With the price of everything going up, a drop in your car insurance premium is just what you need to have extra money in your pocket. Switch to Outsurance and you could save big, like 54-year-old Yaku, who saves an amazing 282 Rand a month on his 2025 Suzuki Swift. Don't pay more than you need to. Get an Outsurance quote to switch and save today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed insurer and FSP, TCs and information online.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What do you think is at play here? That's really what I'm struggling with. If this is not how she has handled matters before in the past at IDA, why did she treat this crime intelligence matter as an exception to the rule? Because I am struggling to figure out why she would compromise her illustrious career like that. And I do think the fight here is over the control of crime intelligence. I mean, if Khumalo is out, probably husband benefits at crime intelligence, or maybe Firoz Khan benefits at crime intelligence. I don't know. I'm trying to connect the dots. But I do think that there are people fighting over the control of crime intelligence, and she allowed herself to be used, or she's part of that fight. I'm not sure which is which. The question, though, is why?
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
This Sunday, Joburg will come together for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. But before you walk with the people, for the people, you'll need to collect your walk number from the arena near Ellis Park, next to the tennis courts, 29 Bertram's Road, New Doornfontein. Collections take place every day until Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please bring some form of ID and a copy of your confirmation to make your registration as seamless as possible. Also note, no collections are permitted on the day of the walk. The 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babize Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
Jozi is moving. People are showing up. Communities are stepping up. We see you, Jozi. Asambe. ABSA is proud to partner with 702 Walk the Talk on 26 July. Thousands will take to the streets of Jozi CBD and celebrate what makes this city iconic. Visit absa.co.za/702 Walk the Talk. ABSA is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
Do you ever get that wake up, dress up, show up kind of energy? Well, it's final voter registration weekend. On the 1st and 2nd of August from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., registration stations open across South Africa. So show up and register to vote in the upcoming local government elections. Call 0800 11 8000, visit elections.org.za or WhatsApp 0600 8800 for more info. This message is brought to you by the IEC.
Johannesburg is a city on the move. And as a founding partner of Jozi My Jozi, Anglo American is proud to support fellow Joburgers this Sunday as the city unites for the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. 702 Weekend Breakfast with Googs Mhlungu will also be there. live. So tune in this Sunday from 6 a.m. and experience the vibrancy of the inner city with Josie's partner, Anglo-American. Mining potential, building beyond on 702.
I'm ready to rock this hook.
More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Right, let's focus our attention then on the decision that has been made by the Reserve Bank. They're going to keep the interest rate on hold at 7%. Inflation numbers were up by 0.5% in the most recent numbers that were released, and the expectation many people had was that, okay, here comes at least a 25 basis point interest rate hike. But no, nothing's happened today. Except, of course, what's happened is that we know it's being kept steady. Gulam Balim is the chief economist and head of research at the Standard Bank Group and joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Balim, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Is this sort of just delaying the inevitable and next time round we're going to get a hike? Or is this a sign that, you know, perhaps the cuts that were made before have actually worked?
John, good afternoon. And your overall tone of some foreboding is welcome. It's healthy. It's healthy to the extent that the overall inflation path remains threatening. And even though the Reserve Bank did not raise rates for a second consecutive time, if we look at the constituency of the Monetary Policy Committee, in other words, 2 members out of the 6, in fact, did vote for an increase and 4 voted to hold steady. So it wasn't unanimous. Certainly the majority prevailed, but the lack of unanimity should be taken as a signal for South Africans to remain cautious over the near term, especially if you consider that today was ominous for the reason that oil prices surpassed $100 a barrel for the first time in several weeks again.
It must be very hard to make these decisions. I mean, this is the first time we're over $100 a barrel, just to pick up on your last point, Mr. Balim, in 2 months. And there was a period when there was appeared to be some sort of treaty taking shape between the United States and Iran, and everything went pear-shaped very, very fast. With the oil price moving in that negative direction that you've just described. I mean, how do you work out interest rates when a key driver of inflation is so volatile?
You don't.
Yeah.
Forgive that glib answer, but there was a time when economics was macroeconomics, and all we had to do was be able to read the economic tea leaves to be able to make forecasts. But we're now living in a world where politics is economics, and so we have to get a good glimpse of the political landscape to be able to infer macroeconomic outcomes, and that's incredibly hard. And you're also equally correct. I mean, we had 40 days of war, followed by a ceasefire that seemed fairly substantial, but which since has proved brittle. And if anything, war has resumed, and the oil price is indicative of that in that respect. For South Africans, where does the rubber hit the road, so to speak? It's a little worrying because at the next fuel price adjustment early next month, typically the first Wednesday of the new month, it is plausible to expect that diesel prices are going to vault by, let's say, at least R1. Petrol prices may decline, but it will be modest. But the trend for the next month is also quite disturbing in terms of the prospect of further fuel price increases. And I only mention this because this is how South Africans internalize inflation in a manifest way. Now, then internalization is important because it shapes what we as economists call inflation expectations. In other words, what does society, meaning workers, firms, businesses, consumers, think about inflation?
Yeah.
If workers think inflation is going to be higher, they're going to demand higher wages.
Yeah.
If businesses think inflation is going to be and costs are going to be higher, they're going to raise prices in an elevated way. So in some respects, that then informs prospective inflation. Now, the Reserve Bank wants to quell rising inflation expectations, and so it raises interest rates preemptively. But we've just missed a bullet, at least temporarily.
Yeah. I want to turn away from the examples you gave and ask you this. I mean, people who are thinking, now I'm thinking in particular, my mind goes to medium-sized businesses, perhaps some of them even a little smaller than that, who are thinking, well, I'd like to expand the panel beating operation that I have, but I'm going to need to borrow money. Are we going to see a real chilling effect with the uncertainty over the interest rate? Because yes, as you say, as you put it, we dodged a bullet today, but that's not going to last forever necessarily if all these external factors continue heading in the direction they are. In terms of small, medium, and maybe even slightly bigger enterprises, are we seeing an impact on them with all this uncertainty?
John, I don't want to suggest that this is a blip.
Yes.
But at the same time, I do want to underscore that these hikes are temporary.
Right.
In other words, we've had one, maybe we'll have another one at the next meeting. However, I do anticipate, and I can say that with reasonable confidence, that later this year, alternatively early next year, the downward cycle that began late last year and early this year will resume. In other words, what we call real interest rates, which is really the level of interest rate above inflation, is by South African standards high. It's tight.
Yes.
And so the scope in terms of that mechanics does suggest that the Reserve Bank should be in a loosening mode. And so with the idea that at its recent print, inflation was 5%, in other words, nearly double the Reserve Bank's 3% ambition, we do think that late in 2027, early 2028, it's plausible to expect that inflation will be trending back to 3%, meaning the leeway for the Reserve Bank to loosen monetary policy, to lessen, to lower interest rates at least a few months out, a few quarters out, remains possible. So businesses, I think if they are able to withstand the cost of funding pressures at this juncture, and maybe even with a further squeeze, but at the same time have to make decisions for the, let's say, medium to longer term, I don't think that ambitions are necessarily derailed by these interest rate hikes. And I can underscore it quickly by saying we expect, say, 1.4, 1.5% growth this year, and we do anticipate it will accelerate to, say, 1.7 in 2027 and closer to 2% in 2028.
Okay.
Given that there certainly are exogenous and internal, that's most meaningful political risk that still can revisit that somewhat optimistic trajectory.
Thank you so much. Gulam Palem is the chief economist and head of research at the Standard Bank Group. Some thoughts on the interest rate decision today by the Monetary Policy Committee. I did say that I would give you some sort of idea about the strength of the South African passport. It's the annual ranking of passports. Now, there are 96 countries ahead of us. Top of the tree, the United Arab Emirates. They have a rating of 182. Ours is substantially less. We are currently sitting at 110. Now, what does a rating of 110 actually mean? Well, what they measure is a number of things. Places to which you can simply pack a bag and go. 59. With a South African passport. Get a visa on arrival, 28. Fill in a quick online authorization form, that would be 8. And apply online and upload documents, 36. Apply for a visa at a consulate, paperwork in hand, 67. And countries where we are simply not allowed at the moment, 0. None. So, lots of countries ahead of us. I mentioned the ones top of the tree. And then, perhaps surprisingly, Ukraine, Argentina, Colombia, and Venezuela amongst the countries that have much stronger passports than we do. I would have thought maybe Venezuela, given the pressures on that country, things would shift, but maybe that's not how passports work. Certainly not in the case of that country. Anyway, thought you'd be interested to know, but you probably know already as you try to travel to the places you want to visit. 27 minutes past 5.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
I've been looking at the testimony of the head of IDAC, Ms. Johnson. I can't help but feel like the establishment of IDAC was for nothing other than political reasons. Questions that are posed to her, the lack of response, and more specifically, the issue of Fadil Adams. How it is now becoming apparent that much of the charges he laid against certain members of the intelligence were fed to him by people from IDEC.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Joburg is calling. Step into the heart of the city as the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk takes over the streets once again. Brand Gauteng invites you to lace up, show up, and experience Johannesburg like never before. From iconic landmarks to vibrant neighborhoods, live music, local flavor, and the unmistakable energy of the city, every step tells a story. Zwakala. Bring your friends, bring the family, and be part of the movement. This isn't just a walk, it's Joburg, alive and on the move. See you at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, over to you. A rough day on the markets, but I'm sure an interesting money show ahead. Good afternoon.
Yeah, the two go together, John. Yes, good afternoon. So the decision by the Reserve Bank, the surprise decision to keep interest rates on hold, whacking the rand, 1680 or so to the dollar at the moment. At the same time, of course, Brent crude going past $100 a barrel. So, John, a bit of a double whammy, I'm afraid, on that score. That really is going to have a bit of an impact on us. But as you heard and as you were speaking to Gulumbalam about it, clearly the bank deciding it's not going to hike rates at this point. There'll be a lot of conversation about it, especially if they now have to hike more a little later, simply because of the impact of higher oil prices. The JSE All Share down 1.25%. 108,335 points. Financials down 1.5%. Industrials down 1.2%. Resources down 1.2% as well. The big winner, though, Sasol up 10.5% because of higher oil prices. I think expectations being baked in of higher oil prices for longer. Thungela and Exxaro also. Thungela up 4.5%. Exxaro 2.62%. Also in the energy space. And Glencore up around 1.5%. Anglo American up 5.58% today. A strong production update from them. They've been able to lower their costs of copper production. They've been able to stick to their guidance for copper. Their platinum production is down slightly. Lots of change coming there. So that having a big impact on their share price today. And then we see Rainet up 1.63 and South 32 again up 1.5%. ARM down 8%, John. It's not because Patrice Motsepe said he's not going to run for the position of FIFA president. It's because of this huge bet they're making on upgrading their platinum production in South Africa. It's a large amount they're going to spend in the market. A bit spooked by that, I think. Other platinum miners down too. Implats, Valterra, Northern all down by around 4.5%. Some of the consumer companies down too. Dis-Chem, Woolies, Pick n Pay, Tiger Brands all down by between 3 and 4.5%. And Telkom down as well, 3.73% on the day so far. In the US, lots of concern over AI, not just because one of the AI models escaped, if I can use that phrase, but partly because of the amount of money that is having to be spent on AI. The Dow Jones is down 1.11, the Nasdaq down 2.59, the S&P 500 down 1.38 on the day so far. The gold price, $4,055.65 an ounce. Platinum, $1,597.30. And Brent crude, $100.57 a barrel. And then the rand to the dollar, John, 16.80 to the euro, 19.11 to the British pound, 22.36. More, of course, on interest rates on the Money Show. More on the AI model that escaped. Busisiwe Mavuso also tonight suggesting that some of government's reforms are going backwards. They've got a big reform tracker. We'll speak to the Communications Minister, Solly Malatsi, about TikTokers who are not getting paid when they are getting paid in other countries, but it's South African TikTokers who aren't get paid. And then an investment school this evening, how trading has changed over the last 20 years and what the next 20 years hold. Stephen Krutis, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 27 minutes to 6. Let's find out what's happening out in the news with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. The Western Cape High Court is set to determine tomorrow whether Parliament's impeachment committee will be stalled from probing President Cyril Ramaphosa's actions following the theft of US dollars from his Palapala farm in 2020. The Constitutional Court already ruled in May that an impeachment hearing against him must commence, but Ramaphosa is challenging the veracity of the report that has led to this inquiry. His legal counsel argued in court last week that the president is entitled to protection from the law against proceedings that will humiliate and cause him irreparable harm. Lindsay Dentlinger reports.
Parliament's impeachment committee is forging ahead to refine the draft terms of reference for the Section 89 inquiry and to nominate an evidence leader for appointment by Parliament. Political parties mostly don't believe the High Court has the power to interrupt their work by making an order counter to what the Constitutional Court has already decided. President Ramaphosa's legal counsel, Wim Trengove, however, argued last week that despite his oath of office, the law also affords the president protection against malicious prosecution.
The legislature has, under its Section 89 mandate, put in place rules that protect the president against unfounded allegations.
The independent panel report is set to be reviewed by the same court in September. In the meantime, the impeachment committee has resolved to invite the report's authors to explain their findings. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
Researchers from various institutions in Africa and Europe have launched a 46 million rand project aimed at transforming TB diagnosis using artificial intelligence. Coordinated by the Stellenbosch University, the initiative aims to develop a diagnostic system combining AI technology and science to improve TB detection. Statistics show there are more than 10 million new TB cases globally, with an estimated 2 million of those cases undiagnosed. Carlo Peterson has more.
The research project will include a clinical study involving about 1,000 adults with suspected TB in South Africa, Namibia and the Gambia. Project coordinator Professor Stefanus Malherbe from Stellenbosch University says the goal is to make accurate TB diagnosis more accessible and reduce delays in treatment. Malherbe says the research combines AI chest X-ray screening with a finger prick blood test.
The hope is that combining these two tests will improve the accuracy and really push it over the line to make a big impact in the fight against TB.
Malherbe says results already show a 20% improvement compared to existing AI screening. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
And in the UK, government has announced a tax cut for struggling pubs, clubs and live music venues. It comes as the new Prime Minister Andy Burnham aims to ease the cost of living crisis. Some MPs have welcomed the move, saying it was an encouraging first step. The 20% cut to business rates is the third major policy announcement since Burnham became Prime Minister on Monday. A fine Friday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, lows of between 3 and 8 degrees and highs of between 20 and 23.
Kilner Park, Pretoria, there's an accident scene on the N1 northbound after the Proefplaas interchange, causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way from Rigel Avenue, leaving the Pretoria CBD traffic heavily backed up. But this is in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele between Van der Hof and the R80, and in Illiondale, Kempton Park. You can also expect about a 30-minute delay on Modderfontein Road between Greenstone Mall and Parkland Drive due to faulty traffic lights.
The top story in EWN, the Western Cape High Court is set to determine tomorrow whether Parliament's impeachment committee will be stalled from probing President Cyril Ramaphosa's actions following the theft of US dollars from his Palapala farm.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
Spiritual hygiene. I've heard of people who say, be careful who you invite to your house. Be careful whose house you eat food at.
Yes.
What are the other things that maybe people can be mindful of?
Before you go into a space, any building, you don't know what binding spells were being done or spoken upon that space. So you need to almost like protect your aura, protect your energy. How do you do that? I burn in Pepo. I fast. I wake up at certain hours. Cleansing is different for everyone depending on your belief. As long as you understand that your energy is the most powerful thing you can ever give.
Mpoma Sondo, who's a traditional healer and indigenous knowledge specialist.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
As Joburg takes a big step towards a cleaner future, the Department of Forestry is joining you on this journey, because a cleaner city is everyone's responsibility. So whether at home or in public spaces, always use designated bins, separate recyclable materials, and never litter or dump illegally. And together, everybody can build cleaner, healthier, and greener communities. Act now. Reduce waste and recycle. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Pepcore, I presume, looking for more opportunities to get clients. How do you understand the logic behind this move?
Very interesting development. The lower end of the consumer market, sort of the cash market, has for long been ignored by the formal banks. And then slowly there were a lot of players who started to grow.
Koki Kweman, banking and investment analyst.
The Money Show.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking. Africa's energy future takes more than ambition. It takes turning plans into projects, opportunity into investment, intent into execution. At ABSA Corporate and Investment Banking, we help connect the capital, expertise, and opportunity needed to bring sustainable projects to life across Africa. That's how we're invested in Africa's energy future.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. It's the here. I work for one of the banks. I'm an IT engineer, network engineer. So we normally work in the server room and computer room also. So we wear like casual, like techies, jeans, like full-time on jeans. I work with men. So the only downside with us, because we always too casual. The only downside with this is when we go to the canteen, the people look at you funny, like, why aren't you dressed up like suit and tie and whatnot? You're the only people who always wearing casual and looking like you're going to the shop or something. So but we used to it. I've been in this field for the past 28 years, so I'm used to it. I go with my techies jeans, that's all. Those are the only clothes that I own in my life. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for those. We asked the question, do you ever take issue with the way your colleagues are dressed at work, or do they perhaps take issue with you? We're going to have some music coming up on the show, but first let's do the sport, 18 minutes to 6.
EWN Sport.
WAFCON getting underway over the weekend. The Commonwealth Games opening ceremony is tonight. Tola Kele has both of those stories.
Thanks so much, John. And Bridget Kellett and Shane Darrell Williams have been named Team South Africa's official flag bearers ahead of tonight's Commonwealth Games opening ceremony at 9 p.m. The action at the multi-sport event has already gotten underway, with Wayne Ritmola getting Team South Africa off to a winning start that follows a 9-0 and 7-4 win over Singapore in the Bulls.
Yeah, that is a bit of an honor. I actually never even thought of that. We were only supposed to start tomorrow, but obviously with extra countries coming in, we started a day earlier. So, yeah, obviously first first South African from Team SA to get going. So yeah, it's quite an honour actually.
Desiree Ellis believes that the delayed start to WAFCON could be a blessing in disguise for Banyana Banyana. The 2026 tournament begins on Sunday in Morocco, having been postponed just 12 days before its original March start. The competition also serves as a qualifier for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup, with the 4 semi-finalists earning places in Brazil.
I had a group of players that hadn't played any football, so we were able to then play 2 friendlies against Algeria, 2 friendlies against Japan, and get more game time in the Hollywood Bet Super League. And me going around being able to look, and all I'm looking for is consistency. That's all I'm looking for: consistency, well-conditioned players. And I've had many conversations with different coaches at the Hollywood Bet Super League about players, and I think that has really encouraged me that coaches are really open to assist. Coaches are really open to find out how they can help us.
Norway has set to lodge a formal complaint to FIFA over the suspension of Florin Balogun's World Cup ban, as they argue it's put the whole game at risk. The striker's red card should have resulted in an automatic suspension for the match against Belgium, but FIFA stepped in and suspended it. That's after USA President Donald Trump intervened by phoning FIFA head Gianni Infantino. Norway Federation President Lise Claversen says bending over for a head of state sets a dangerous precedent, and is also unimpressed that the decision was taken solely by the chairman of FIFA's disciplinary committee, who didn't consult other members. Switching over to the Currie Cup, where the round 2 action will begin tomorrow afternoon with the Cheetahs hosting the Sharks. Clayton Blommetjies and his teammates go into it looking to make it back-to-back wins after success over the Lions in their tournament opener.
They're going to come out here. They're going to be physical. They're going to come and run hard. So for us, it's sticking to our game plan, do what we are training during the week and go and deliver it on Friday evening. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice class. It's going to be fun. Both teams are going to throw the ball around, but like we saw on Friday evening, they still have the kicking game as well. So for us, it's just preparing nicely to get both sides of the balls. You never know. Maybe they come here on Friday, they want to run.
And Richard Carapaz won stage 18 of the Tour de France as he secured his second success of this year's tour. Tadej Pogacar continues to top the general classification. That's 4 minutes and 32 seconds ahead of Remco Evenepoel. Tsolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
5:45, so traffic very much underway in terms of the kind of problems that you might encounter. Kilner Park. Karabo Charlie, what's happening there?
Yes, John, Kilner Park, that's in the Pretoria area. Accident scene, N1 North. After the Proefplaas interchange, causing more than a 30-minute delay all the way from Rigel Avenue. So avoid the N1 if you are leaving Centurion heading towards Linwood. Rather use Botha Avenue or the R55 or even the N14 via the Pretoria CBD as an alternative. Hopefully that will save you some time. In Illiondale, there's Illiondale Kempton Park. Expect more than a 30-minute delay on Modderfontein Road between Greenstone Mall and Parkland Drive due to faulty traffic lights. Going back to Pretoria, this time leaving the CBD, traffic heavily backed up in Hermanstad on Eskiam Pahlele from Van der Hof to the R80. While in Benoni, traffic is sluggish on Atlas Road approaching the N12 Bursley. We still have slow-moving traffic on Modderfontein Road between Pretoria Road and Mooifontein Road. And in Alexandra, heading towards Bedfordview, Germiston, expect about a 20-minute delay. N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
14 minutes to 6, let's do some music now. Now, you could say that every single song ever written has the lyrics, la 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 la, in one form or another. And that's because, well, when we don't know the lyrics of the song, that's what we resort to, or versions thereof. But there are actually some songs in which that la 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 is actually part of the song lyric from the very, very beginning. So it's not a default, it's not a cover-up, it is part of the song. So we asked you for your best songs that actually have la 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 in the lyrics. Some of you have sent us your suggestions, including this one. Let's take a listen.
Hi, Uncle John and the team. It's Pure here on the road. Jamiroquai, Corner of the Earth. It has some la 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 somewhere there.
This corner of the earth is like me in many ways. I can sit for hours here and watch the hair of feathers play.
Yeah, Jamiroquai from their fifth album called A Funk Odyssey. That's from 2001. So many different ways to sing. La, la, la. Let's hear your suggestions, please. 072 702 1702. Back with more music in a moment.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
What do you think is at play here? That's really what I'm struggling with. If this is not how she has handled matters before in the past at IDA, why did she treat this crime intelligence matter as an exception to the rule? Because I am struggling to figure out why she would compromise her illustrious career like that. And I do think the fight here is over the control of crime intelligence. I mean, if Khumalo is out, probably husband benefits at crime intelligence, or maybe Firoz Khan benefits at crime intelligence. I don't know. I'm trying to connect the dots. But I do think that there are people fighting over the control of crime intelligence, and she allowed herself to be used, or she's part of that fight. I'm not sure which is which. The question, though, is why?
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
When you're unfairly treated by your bank, insurer, pension fund, or financial advisor, who do you turn to when things go wrong? South Africa's financial ombud system, overseen by the Ombud Council, provides free, fair, and impartial dispute resolution. Visit their stand this Sunday at the 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk and meet the National Financial Ombud, the FAIS Ombud, and the Pension Fund's adjudicator to learn more about your rights to fair treatment. Go to ombudcouncil.org.za for more info.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Josi's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg.
702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, it's Manu. The song that I was wanting to tell you with La 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 is The Boxer by Simon and Garfunkel. Thank you. Bye.
Everything was dark, oh yeah, yeah. All of a sudden, on came the lights, and everything was feeling.
Sounds of Kool and the Gang. Let's Go Dancing, sent to us by Eldon. Okay, keep those coming, please. Songs with La La La. There are lots of suggestions. Tuli says Chris de Berg. Spaceman Ingrid picks Lyra's song, I Feel Good. Let's hear another voice note.
My favorite song with Lala in the lyrics has to be Fatom Darby by the Bats. This is Chris from Radiohead. My favorite song with Lala in the lyrics has to be Fatom Darby by the Bats. This is Chris from Radiohead.
Yeah, I don't think I know that one. We'll see if we can dig it out and see if we can play it for you a little bit later. Yeah, so many suggestions and songs that I don't know. Greenfield Veggie says the Wombles, the Banana Rock. One of my favorite songs with La 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 in the lyrics, says Lenora, is Smile by Tamia Legion, actually sending us that from Montana. What else have we got? We've got this one from Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing. There are quite a few songs that people have said, Kanye West songs that are actually about, that include the lyrics La La La. Keep sending us your suggestions. We're having a little bit of a problem actually playing you the music. I'm not terribly sure why, so let me... this one from Yassine, who says, Santa Esmeralda, you are my everything. Okay, I think we're probably done with the music then. Let's just recap on some of the major songs, the major stories that we have been dealing with today. If you have missed the details of the announcement made by the Monetary Policy Committee, despite a split in the committee, they have left the repo rate untouched. So that, I hope, makes a really significant and big difference to all of you. Very, very important on a day when the news about the oil price is, I think it's fair to say, is almost as bad as it can get. And what's prompted that, this push past $100 a barrel in the Middle East, is because of an attack on 2 Saudi ships, this by the Houthi militia in Yemen. And that's pushed the oil price. I'm just going to check what it is right now. Well over $100 a barrel. And that is for the first time in the last 2 months. The price of Brent crude, $100.77 a barrel. We've also had some really interesting debates about the way in which sport gets funded in South Africa. Very interesting contribution around hockey. The hockey men's and women's team are setting off for the World Cup in Belgium in August. And they were actually having to pay for themselves to go and play in this game. To play in this tournament, 68,000 per player was required. Now the Ministry of Sport has actually stepped up. I see we do have a few more Lala songs. We don't have any music for you, but at least you can add these to your playlist. From Mama Bolo, Tina Marie, Ooh La La La. Don't know that song, and this one from Madonna, Ntoshang. Thank you, La Isla Bonita. Let's see if we've got our music back on track.
Ooh La La La. Hey, Brajon. There's a song by Tina Marie called Ooh La La La. It's the greatest hit, Brajon. If you can do justice and play that for me. Thank you, Jawin Ramsey.
Every time you come around, I feel my world starts turning topsy-turvy, and I just can't fight the spin.
The sounds of Tina Marie. Earlier we heard the Bats. I said I've never heard Fatom Davi. That's all about to change right now.
Fatom Davi, Fatom La, Fatom Davi, La die Bude slag. Stop about tiny, stop on fair, stop about tiny, La die Boca Blair.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us on 702 Drive. It's been great having you on this Thursday. I'm John Perlman. From me and the rest of the team, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA Corporates and Investment Banking, turning intent into execution. That's how ABSA are invested in Africa's energy future. Good evening. On your Money Show tonight, the Reserve Bank surprises by keeping rates on hold just as Brent crude goes through $100 a barrel.